Hello, good morning. You're welcome to The Big Issue. The Big Issue is your show for incisive analysis and riveting conversation. My name is Selom Adunu. As always, the show is live and interactive, and you can join the show with your messages, which we'll gladly read out to the world on 020-444-7033, 020-444-7033, or 0549-986-996. We are live on 97.3 City FM, and also, of course, on ChannelOne television. We're also live across our social media feeds, and we'll be happy to hear you. We are discussing two major issues today. The first one has to do with what is appearing to be a concerted demand for total ban on illegal and small-scale mining. Illegal mining called Galamsey, and of course small-scale mining. That is a legitimate way of mining, but the call appears to be encompassing all of them. What really should we be doing? Our water bodies have been polluted. The water levels have gone from worst to worst. Turbidity levels have skyrocketed. Indeed, a couple of weeks ago, the Ghana Water Company Limited says that at some point, they'll be unable to treat the water, at least from the PRA, which has a turbidity level going beyond 14,000 NTU, when the systems there were designed to treat maximum 2,000 NTU. And indeed, they have to bring that down to 5 NTU before we can consume that. That is having a toll on their system and on their finances. In the Ashanti region, the same. And in the eastern region, it even appears worse. Now, we understand that the Densu, which feeds a good part of Accra, has also begun seeing this contamination or pollution thanks to activities of Galamseyers. It does appear that a country which was sleeping is beginning to wake up. And this week alone, more than 20 statements have been issued from huge bodies, including labor unions, etc. The TUC especially has called for some industrial action if by the end of September they do not see any action from government. They want a total ban on small-scale and illegal mining. The question is that the solution? We've tried this before. We didn't really see any solution or any resolve or any headway. Are we going to do the same thing again? The Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources says that the small-scale miners should be speaking up. The minister himself says that banning the enterprise is draconian and extreme. Some interesting words there. What do you think? It does appear, and indeed it is, an existential threat to our survival. Water bodies are being polluted. Cocoa farms are going away. Farms generally are being converted to Galamsey pits. That is a big discussion this morning. Also, another one which has to do with a national embarrassment. The Confederation of African Football, CAF, says that our stadia are unfit for hosting CAF football matches. Ghana, a football nation, which has won 4 Africa Cup of Nations in the past, today, we are being told that our stadia are not fit for purpose. Meanwhile, huge sums of money have been sunk into rehabilitating this stadia. Why do we do this to ourselves? Now, it does appear that our next qualifiers would have to be played outside of Ghana. What an embarrassing scene that would be. Ghana, a football nation feared by many, at least until recently, will now have to be knocking on the doors of other countries, begging to use their stadia for a football match because we have failed to keep ours in good shape. These are the matters on the table this morning. I'll take a short break. I'll return, introduce my guest. We'll get a discussion underway. Once again, this is a big issue. You're welcome. You're welcome back. This is your show for incisive analysis and riveting conversation. We'll call it The Big Issue on Saturday morning, where we discuss the topical matters that have come up in the week. This week, 2 key issues. That's appeared that there's some concerted effort gathering in respect of Galamsey. Many unions this week issued statements condemning the state of our water bodies. Indeed, the clergy has also been speaking. They want a total ban on illegal and small-scale mining. What is the way forward? Is a ban the solution? What must we do? The same command and control. I mean, deploying soldiers to the bushes, is that a way to go? Do we shoot and kill? What must we do? And of course, we cannot do this pretending that there is no politics involved. There is politics. Elections are upon us in the next 3 months or so. And you recall that in the last election, the thing was that they said MPP lost votes in the mining areas because of how heavy-handed the party was in, or the government was in fighting the illegal mining menace. So that is a very important part of the problem and of the discussion. We'll try and look at all of that today. Also, CAF has banned us from using the Yara Stadium, which is being the place that Black Stars have played many of their qualifiers, because they say the place is unfit for purpose. The last time they warned us, this time around, the ban is being issued, or the gavel of CAF is being dropped, and indeed we are in trouble. The sports minister is asking CAF to inspect the Legon Stadium, the recently built Legon Stadium, to see if that will be fit for purpose. The question is, what has happened to the Tamale Stadium, Esipon, Accra Sports Stadium, and all these stadia we have built, Cape Coast Stadium, etc.? You know, it does appear that, you know, we never solve our problems. When we appear to be solving one, another comes up. Now, we do not have a stadium, a football nation, to play our football. All right, so these are the matters we'll be looking at this morning. You're welcome to share your views with us on 020-444-7033 or 0549-986-996. And these numbers will be displayed on your screen, indeed, on your screen. So I'll be happy to hear from you. Just to provide you some update. Now, organized labor is threatening to strike by the end of September if the government fails to meet its demands, including declaring a state of emergency and halting all forms of mining in forest reserves and around water bodies. Over the past few weeks, there has been widespread public outcry over the increasing threat of illegal mining. Various labor groups, including the Ghana Medical Association and UTAG, have called for urgent government intervention. Organized labor has now added its voice, warning of a strike if the government does not act. There is more in the following report.
Recent weeks, discussions about illegal mining have taken center stage in the national conversation once again. The Ghana Water Company has warned that it may not be able to produce water within the next 6 months if the pollution of natural water sources continues due to illegal mining activities. Several groups, including the Ghana Bar Association, have expressed serious concerns over the government's inability to tackle the menace effectively, urging immediate and decisive action. At a press conference on Wednesday, organized labor urged the government to take decisive steps to address the situation. They are calling for the government to declare a state of emergency to combat the illegal mining crisis.
Organized labor demands immediate actions from the President of the Republic as follows. 1. We demand an immediate declaration of state of emergency in line with the provisions of the 1992 Constitution, Articles 31 and 31(4). And the declaration must incorporate the following. A. An order to halt to all forms of mining, that legal or illegal, in forest reserves and around water bodies. B. Immediate evacuation of all mining equipment in forest reserves and around water bodies. C. The deployment of the police and the military with full orders, and I want to repeat, with full orders, to remove, destroy all mining equipment and other earth-moving equipment around river bodies and in the forest reserves. We demand, 2, the immediate revocation of LI 2462 and withdrawal of all licenses that have been granted for prospecting and mining in forest and protected reserves and also around water bodies. 3, we demand the President to establish a special court to persecute the perpetrators of this horrible, heinous crime.
If the government fails to meet these demands, organized labor has threatened to go on strike.
Organized labor will urgently embark on a series of demonstrations and a nationwide strike if government fails to address the concerns raised by end of the month, September 2024. We call on all well-meaning Ghanaians to join organized labor in the fight against this menace. Yay! Yay!
All right, so that was the TUC in that statement, you know, and the TUC, or the organized labor, together with many other unions and well-meaning organizations, have issued about 50 statements. That's quite unprecedented on a single matter. In a week, 50 statements, all speaking about the same thing. And indeed, calling for prosecution, as we just heard from the TUC boss. But the Attorney General at the bar conference this week said over 850 persons are facing prosecution for illegal mining. So it does appear some work is being done on that. And at least 76 persons have been convicted, he says, since 2021. Now, let's see what government is saying. The Deputy Lands and Natural Resources Minister, George Mirikuduka, has stated that efforts to end illegal mining must extend beyond the call for a ban on small-scale mining operations, describing such calls as misdirected. He condemned the environmental destruction caused by illegal miners, reiterating that the government remains committed to promoting responsible mining.
It is misdirected because I was expecting them to have condemned the statement made by His Excellency, the former President Mahama, before even calling for this action. Because you can't just, you know, in a way, out of the blue, you just say, put a ban. Ban on what? What are the metrics? What have you done? What analysis have you done? Why must you ban mining? If, for example, you do an audit and there are infractions in a company, do you collapse the company or you correct the infractions? It's better for you to correct the infractions and move on, you know.
All right, so that's George Mirikuduka, the Deputy Lands and Natural Resources Minister. So on the back of increasing pressure and the spotlight on the devastation caused by illegal mining, government has taken some action, or has been taking some actions. President Akufo-Addo has set up a 5-member ad hoc ministerial committee to engage stakeholders to assess the government's efforts to deal with illegal mining activities, also known as Galamsey. Galamsey has become a topical national issue due to its devastating effects on the environment, with many describing it as an existential threat. So Fatimatu Abubakar, in a statement, says that the National Security Minister, Albert Kandapa, will chair this ad hoc committee the president has set up.
The directive from the president comes weeks after another media crusade to get government to ban illegal mining across the country. Videos and pictures seen in recent times reveal the devastating effect of Galamsey and the threat it poses to the environment. The Ghana Water Company has warned of a possibility of water shortage in Ghana if issues of Galamsey are not addressed. Organized labor, led by the TUC, among other things, is demanding immediate halt of the illegal practice and a state of emergency declared. A number of civil society organizations and the clergy have also joined the crusade and the campaign for a state of emergency to be declared. In response, Lands and Natural Resources Minister Samuel Abu Jinapo, at a meeting with some senior journalists on Wednesday, says it will be difficult to ban small-scale mining, adding that declaring a state of emergency will be far-reaching and draconian. But this response has been met with strong reactions, as many believe government is not committed to the fight against illegal mining. The ad hoc committee, made up of the Ministers of National Security, Lands and Natural Resources, Information, Defense, and Labor Relations, is expected to draw up a strategy to fight the menace. President Akufo-Addo in the coming days will announce a roadmap as proposed by the ad hoc committee.
All right, so that was a report filed by Sami Biafi, my colleague here. Now let me introduce my guest to you. My guest this morning, Dr. Tony Obing, former Chief Executive of the Minerals Commission, Alfred Thompson, member of the MPP Communications team, Dr. Engineer Kenneth Ashigbe, convener for the Media Coalition Against Illegal Mining, Gordon Ama, who is the General Secretary of the Ghana National Association of Small-Scale Miners, and Nilante Vanderpoel, Member of Parliament for the Ododo constituency. Gentlemen, you are welcome to the program. Let me start off with you, Alfred. We've not seen this level of concertedness amongst Ghanaians for a long time in respect of a single issue, Galamsey, over 50 statements from a lot of institutions were issued just last week. And it does appear that Ghanaians are coalescing around the fact that this is bad, we do not want it, and the government of the day must immediately do something about the canker right now. What is government doing?
Good morning, and good morning to my colleague panelists, Dr. Obeng. And good morning to all those who are watching us. I'll say I haven't been here for some time, so it's good coming back. You know, this whole Galamsey issue is a big issue that every Ghanaian needs to get involved. We've been fighting it over the years, since I think 1989 when they passed the PNDC law on the small-scale mining and everything. We've been seeing the progress of how everybody wants to be fast in making or getting some gold to sell, because gold is a huge money-making syndrome for everybody. Government, sometime when we took over in 2017, started putting measures in place to make sure that we curb the illegal ones that are mining the forest reserves and the river bodies. We worked till around 2019 when we all saw what happened. I mean, it was all over air. We have all the videos, we have all the statements. Even the president at that time put his job on the line. And truthfully, he nearly lost his election because of this Galamsey menace. There were 7 constituencies, which are mining areas, that we lost in the fight to make sure that we retain the power and continue the good work we have started. However, we have not relented our efforts in fighting this menace. We know that, yes, water bodies are being spoiled. We know that forests are being invaded and everything. And we've put up every necessary measure to fight it. But the moment we bring in the twist of political fight or political will to make sure that, oh, I'll bring you down so that I can come into office and I'll see what I can do, that type of thing will not help us fight this whole Galamsey issue. It's for both parties, every citizen, like what we are seeing today. I was expecting that when we finished the first phase of the election, that was in 2020, when we came back, we would have all sat down to say that, listen, let us all now come to the round table and make sure that we fight it, not as political parties, but as individuals fighting for the good of Ghana. Because everybody is affected. When you go to all the areas, you go to certain places like Central Region, water is a problem. And it's affecting everybody, not Alfred, not Dr. Obeng, not you, everybody. So we all have to come on board and stop putting in politics. Because when you put in politics, I'll have to resist. I have to fight it. I have to fight it in another way that might not suit the need that you are looking at. I would come in to make sure that I also do not lose out. Because everybody wants to make sure that they are guarding their turf. And once you go to that place and go and say certain things that would destroy what you are expecting, then at the end of the day, we are all going to lose out on this. So yes, the government is putting in every effort. The Nanado has said over and over again that as for this fight, he's going to fight it till his last breath. And he's putting in every effort. The moment all the citizens started calling up, he's come again to say that, listen, let's put in maybe a 7-member committee to see how quickly we can tackle this. Because it's like every time it's reoccurring.
It doesn't appear that the government is really serious about the fight. So, for example, we saw 2017, 2018, the ban and all of that. And just soon after that, I mean, we saw also LI 2462, which now allowed mining in forest reserve. Galamsey has always been an issue. We've been doing Galamsey, or we've had Galamsey with us for a very long time. Yeah. But when you allow people to mine in forest reserves and close to water bodies, then that is when we begin to see an exacerbation of the problem. So you don't know you have a canker you are dealing with. You don't allow it in forest reserves.
The fight is those who have not been given any license to go near the water reserves, because it's supposed to be about over 100 meters or so away from the water reserves. So the moment you are there, I mean, you realize what happened. We started burning the excavators, it didn't work. We started seizing them, it didn't work.
It didn't work because the allegation is that you've been doing it selectively.
It wasn't selective. How do you select?
That's the allegation.
No, how do you select?
The allegation is that you were just looking for, or you are sparing your people. And dealing with
where the political issue comes in.
And you know, we
because
can't,
when the soldier is going,
it's a serious matter. It's a very serious matter.
When we are going to chase someone in the forest, you don't go and ask him that, where is your political color?
You don't have to ask him where does your political allegiance lie, etc. But we know, we know them. The people there know themselves. And Alfred, are you telling
a soldier that the soldier should go after people? And the soldier will go and sit down and study who.
But the soldiers follow instructions, right? It's become a very serious.
When you're on the field, you don't look at where it's
become a very serious instruction, Alfred. A very serious matter. The water bodies are being polluted. You understand? Children are being born with missing body parts, etc. That is very serious.
Yeah.
And if we want
think it doesn't worry us.
No, it does. I hope so. If the approach towards it is business as usual, like we are seeing, then we are afraid nothing is going to happen.
How does it become business as usual?
So they talk about granting mining license to people to mine in forest reserve, and you talk about the fact that it's the illegal ones, but you have the force of state. The DCs are there. There are people who work with the DC. The police are in the communities. They see these things, but when you allow the people to settle, then that becomes a problem. So when you see somebody's trying to do it, you clean the place and you evacuate them from there, then they know that you cannot come again. But if we treat them with case glove, then we have the situation we have on our hands.
We have the chiefs who are part of those who are making sure that people don't go into their reserves or their area. We have the...
But what powers do the chiefs have to do this?
Oh, they've been given powers to...
Powers from where?
And even with the new lesson that you are passing, you are supposed to get even
but you are not passing it.
Yeah.
Oh, you are not thinking about passing
it's part of the things that you put in place. Sometimes it's not about just sacking the people, but it's about what do you put in place to correct the measures.
Very well.
Because gold is part of the... it's about, I think, about 40% or so of the reserves that we get in the minerals. So you can't just say that, oh yes, I'm throwing it away because we want or because some illegal people are doing certain things, so let's close everything in totality. No, let us look at the problem and solve it. Part of it is to make sure that chiefs get involved, and that is why Asantini distilled someone. That is part of the reason that's why he distilled.
The persons Asantini distilled. What have the security
illegal?
What have the
illegal?
What have the security agencies done about it? That's a chief who has no prosecutorial powers, has no state investigative powers.
And that is why I'm telling you that we've given the powers to stop certain things.
Yeah, what has the government done about those who were engaged in the illegality? The best Asantini could do was to distill them.
Yeah.
The security agencies and the investigative bodies and the government, you say, is serious about fighting this. The fact that you are telling me that Asantini is done, it means government knows, and we all know. Those chiefs who have been distilled are walking about. Nobody has called them, as far as we know, to answer any questions. So it will happen again. If Asantini doesn't see them, it will happen. Other areas where Asantini's powers, do not get to, and their chiefs are not as strong as Asantini, they will keep doing it. That is what we are talking about.
And that is why I'm telling you that it's a growing thing, and we are fighting it. We are not stopping.
Very well.
We have not folded our arms to say that, oh, because it's going on, so we are stopping.
Very well.
We are still fighting it,
and
we'll still fight it.
Good.
But we need everybody to get involved without partisan relations to it.
Good.
Because the moment you start going partisan, others will also fight it on a partisan way. Because the DC is sitting there, is also looking at his stuff and what he can also make sure that his people are working.
Is it party before country or country before party?
So that is a question we should ask. When in 2020 people were going around and saying that you go ahead and destroy the water bodies, go ahead and do in the forest areas, we'll give you, when we come and they even lock you up, we'll open you and make sure that you go back and go and do your Galamsey. It wasn't a hidden secret.
I see. Let me
Everybody saw it.
Let me come to Dr. Tony Obin. Doc, you have been at the Minerals Commission for a while, and the problem started long before you, actually. But the problem started growing when you were there, and it's become worse now. What signals, or did you see signs from those times, and what did you do to nip the problem in the bud?
Okay, thank you very much, and good morning to your viewers. I think the menace of Galamsey has been age-old. As my brother just said, before 1989, it was illegal for people to do any form of small-scale mining. And because in spite of the ban or the outlawing of that activity to Ghanaians who wanted to do small-scale mining, they were still doing it because we have lived with the mineral. So they were still doing it. So the PNDC, and I'm just going back a bit to history so I can directly answer your question. The PNDC government saw that, look, like Apeteshi was not something to be produced in Ghana, and then later on they realized that it was wise to actually regulate and manage it, for which these days you don't even see too much Apeteshi. You see more something bitters, and there's some value addition. So let's do that. So the government at that time created regulations for Ghanaians to participate in small-scale mining. I think at the time of that creation, the expectations were that people were going to use a simple implements. I mean, shovels, pickaxe, and all. They were there. I'm sure Honorable Neil until used to live with a Takwa boy, so he knows.
Oh, yeah, Takwa boy.
Yes, he knows what has gone there on there. The police and the soldiers will come, and people will shout, scatter, and everybody will go away. And as soon as they are gone, they come back and continue. At that time, it was not as menacing as we see, because you were not using excavators. You were not using all these trommels of those big implements. In fact, one of the biggest source of the problems we see is the use of this equipment that are not controlled at all. Now, so that's the genesis of this Galamsey, because then those who were doing it without license became illegal. It's no longer everybody being illegal, but those who are regulated not illegal, but those who are not regulated are illegal. Again, illegality here does not pertain to license alone. If you have a license and you're operating outside the scope of your license, you are illegal. And that is the source of the problem. People have licenses, and sometimes they flout it to people. Me, I have a license. And then he's mining somewhere else, sometimes even closer to the water bodies. Now, water bodies by law. So when they say, let's put a moratorium, whatever, I find it difficult to understand. By law, nobody should mine our water bodies. By law. So all we have to do is enforce the laws. Now, even at the time when it was regulated, the police will go around from time to time to try and stop that. In 2013, the government at that time, President Mahama, saw that the situation was getting to a head. So he organized this I think it was something they said, not interministerial. I think it wasn't interministerial, but a certain task force to go and stop them. In fact, to use brute force to stop them. His target at that time was not so much on Ghanaians who were mining. His target was more on Chinese mining. So about over 1,000 Chinese, 1,400 Chinese were arrested, and some of them were deported out of the country. So, but at the time, within the 2 months or so when that action started, there were people who were calling it, it's very funny about our politics, state terrorism. That the president was what he was doing was state terrorism. And so I think, the noise started again, that the use of force was an issue. He stopped that. And that was within about 3 months or so. He stopped it. Now, that is how come I even came to the commission, because the President Mahama didn't even invite me to go to the commission because he knew where I belonged. He didn't know which party I belonged. He thought that I had some ideas that I could share. So when we went there, we had...
The president appointed you without knowing where you belong.
Without knowing, and I know some people who are appointed, in fact, coming from the other side of, but based on competence. Based on competence and the background.
I see.
And when the MPP came to power, there was debate as to whether I should be left, because they didn't know whether I was political. Well, I was professional. I was doing my work professionally. That place is supposed to be handled professionally. It shouldn't be politicized, because a natural resource that belongs to current and future generation, and therefore must be handled with some level of neutrality. Now, so the president stopped and then asked us to come up with comprehensive approach to address the menace. We found out that the use of brute force was not going to solve the problem. It was only temporary. Of course, if you are in a crisis situation, you can use your forces to stop them and then devise a way out. So proposals which were also proposed to current government, because I outlived the old government. I stayed there for 8 months or so. Some of the proposals were: one, we should take away, or we should reduce human intervention. We shouldn't increase human intervention in solving this Galamsey menace thing. We should make it impossible that human beings, I'm happy that there's a suggestion for chiefs. Chiefs are, some of them are very, very good. But assuming I am a Galamsey man, active Galamsey man, today I have a stool somewhere. I'm made a chief, and I'm supposed to go and fight Galamsey. He's a human being. I was in Ivory Coast sometime on this mining.
But I get all of that, right? The issue about it's become such a big problem.
Yes.
And you, the leaders, we've not seen the willpower. Of course, you're not in government. I've not seen the willpower. But he talks about politicizing the fight.
Yes.
And you're on record to have gorged people on, or asked people to mine. Okay.
This is the most ridiculous thing.
You've asked people to mine.
I have never, ever. You see, we are not serious. We are not serious. I have never, ever spoken, and I have written in support of trying to address.
But there are some videos making the rounds.
Let's watch the video.
Okay.
And tell me what I said.
So you were with. So my producer will get that video. Right?
Yeah.
You were with an NDC official.
Yeah.
Who more or less were saying that they have stopped you, but when we come, not in many words, so many words, but we will let you do. And you, the one, you were there. While some others are called, so you know what to do and all of that. So that is been interpreted to mean that you had support. You had support. Or the people had support, or you supported the illegal work they were doing in the bush and in the forest and the areas,
what logic I've ever. So being in a crime scene makes you a criminal. That's what you're saying.
No, but when you are aiding and abetting,
but what did I do to aid and abet? Did you see any aiding and abetting there?
No, we'll get the video.
Even for now, I want them to show. Even for now, when you're speaking, if I try to interject, it will be an indiscipline in terms of communication. So somebody's speaking, and I said something later. That one, the detractors don't want to show it. I will not support illegal mining. I've spent my life working to regularize.
So will you say that whatever you said there,
yes,
could have been said better?
I didn't say anything there. You saw me. Let them show the video.
Yes,
so the people who are going around, and I'm going to sue somebody for this, because really, I never said anything. I said, look, listen to him. He's saying this. He's saying, I never opened my mouth. I was standing there. In one video, I had folded my arm like this, standing there. Yet, some people, I think mostly MPP, and this was 2020, and this activity, when it happened, we visited only 2 places. Only 2 places on record. Only 2 places. I never went to Prestia, and they said I went to Prestia for Prestia to lose. I never went to Prestia to talk about mining. We went to 2 places. I went there to observe things, because I'm a student of mining. I'm a student of small scale mining. I have held several international positions within the small scale mining state, and we've been struggling to find solutions. So being there was for a different purpose. Be it as it may, I didn't say anything. So why are some people bent on saying Tony Obin said this? Because they didn't watch it. And most people that I talked to, I said, what did I say? I didn't look at it. I heard somebody saying, I said, but if I didn't say anything, and I didn't point to them saying, yes, Joe, wait, when you say, now you say Tony Obin said it. What is wrong with these people? And if I were able to, just by my presence, cause 7 constituencies to lose that election, then how powerful I am? I'm very powerful then. And this video never came to the media, so nobody knew about it.
My word would have gone around in the communities. The video did not come to the media.
So all the
my word will go. They know themselves. They may have WhatsApp pages and all of that.
But all the communities in Ghana, they heard that I had been there, standing there quietly, and therefore they started doing Galamsey. I mean, look, let's be serious. We have seen. Let's actually be very serious. Once this Stop Galamsey thing happened in 2017, and I was part of it, I won't take myself out because we were all fighting for the situation to normalize. And there was a ban, the ban was done in a very irregular way. There were decisions taken with no plan to fill the gap. At the time,
because I think what happened was, because the situation was getting worse, they had to find a way of dealing with it.
Yeah. So,
like the doctor said, when this person is bleeding, stop the bleeding.
Stop the bleeding.
So that's what they did.
But they stopped the bleeding. You need to immediately have some plan.
So then the plan, we saw the community mining, the Galamsey, and all of those things.
The Galamsey was part of the Galamsey was part of the effort to stop that. And I said,
so we have community mining and all of those
the
things.
Community mining, there's a big problem with the community mining. Look at the structure of the community mining.
So we'll come to the community mining so that you help us appreciate that better.
Let me land by saying that video doing the round is the most ridiculous, and somebody will have to pay for it because it's a deliberate effort, a deliberate malicious effort to impugn my name. I never said anything in the video. Why would I never said anything?
No, what do you mean by you never said anything? Because you spoke.
No, I didn't speak.
You didn't speak.
I didn't speak. That's the point. Most people don't listen to it.
Or people don't know you. So when they see the video, they think that you're the one
but the person who was talking. In fact, in one of the, I don't want to cause any legal issues on your set, but the person who was pointing, look at Tony Obin. He is saying that, and I was quiet. He ought to have known. He knew me. That person knows me. I've been on his set. He knows me from private and public and so on. And I never uttered a word. Why are you doing that? Let's look at the issue in a very serious way and not try to play politics.
Very well.
He says, President Mahama said he was going to do what? He was going to free. What he said was that, and I agree with him. Those who are in the jail now or being tried, they are not the ones who really control a small scale mine. They are those who are working there, who couldn't run away and they were arrested by the police. The real people are those in Accra, Kumasi, and Takoradi and Big. This
is the big issue, 97.3 City FM, and also on Channel One Television, and also on our social media platform. We're looking at the Galamsey scourge. About 50 statements have come from well-recognized bodies calling for a ban on all forms of mining, in all forms of mining, especially in the forest reserves and close to water bodies. Dr. Tony Obin, former CEO of Minerals Commission, says you don't even mine or have to mine close to a water body. That's in the first place illegal. So what we need is enforcement. We'll get to enforcement soon. But let's speak to, of course, Neil Antivandapo is here, and Dr. Engineer Sigbe is there as well. But I want to speak to one of the persons in the mix, Godwin Ama. He's General Secretary for the National Association of Small-Scale Miners. Godwin, welcome to the program. It does appear that there's been, there's a problem, really, and there's been a call to ban your activity. Of course, let me also recognize that you are not an illegal miner, as far as we know. You are small-scale miners, which means you are doing your business legally. But because of the effect the illegal guys are having on the environment generally, there's been a call to ban your activities altogether. Won't you admit that banning activities altogether will allow the system to cool off, rejuvenate, so that we look at how we can help you do your job, legally, legitimately, so that we don't have any environmental issues?
Okay. First of all, let me say good morning to listeners, and also thank you for giving me the opportunity. When we talk about small-scale mining, it's quite different from illegal mining. When we are talking about these forest reserves, no license is issued to any small-scale miner to mine in the mining reserves. These are all large-scale companies, and some carry prospecting licenses in this space. That's the forest reserve. So there's no small-scale mining instead. Most of them also don't follow the processes. So you have Chinese, they take the concession, they assign it to Chinese. And because they don't follow, they don't plan the operations and you realize that tailings and water, wastewater, are drained into our river bodies. Most of these river bodies take their source from the forest reserves. So if you are calling on a ban and you say small-scale miners that are now issued licenses in the forest reserve should be banned, I think Ghanaians are not being fair to us. The license issue is for a large-scale company. Why are we saying that? Why are we not saying that then the large-scale companies should also be banned, but only the small-scale miners who are not giving licenses to operate? That is number one. Number two, no small-scale miner is issued with a license to operate in water bodies. So you can see that there are floating dredges that are dredging our river bodies, causing siltation and increasing the turbidity levels of the river bodies. Now, small-scale miners are using boreholes because if the turbidity level is more than 1,000, you can't settle, especially with alluvia, the gravity. You can't settle and you lose most of your gold into your tailings. So they need to get some sort of clean water. You have other small-scale miners that are working underground. You go to Obuasi, you go to Bebieni, you go to the northern part of the country, Galamsey, around Wa, and then you come to Takwa. These are all licensed operators who are even far away from river bodies. They go underground, they get their rock, they process it, and then they get their gold and sell them. They are not in the forest reserve, they are not closer to river bodies. Companies, for instance, a typical example is the River Denzu, which flows from the Tiwa range. The association with our task force have protected it for a very long time. But now, you could see some sort of illegal mining activity taking place along these banks. And this is a large-scale company that have got prospecting leads, and some of them are assigning it to illegal operators. And they are not monitoring what they are doing because the law gives large-scale companies gives them the right to assign to go into what we call a tributor system. Tributor system at that area is only 2 companies that have tributor system. So realize that most of these large-scale companies have huge sorts of land, and they have some sort of arrangement with these illegal operators in Donmota. Another one is Assume, which you realize the chief came up, City FM played and all that. This Assume area also, this concession belongs to a large-scale person. So if you are calling a ban without understanding the underlying issues, looking at it layer by layer, brick by brick, will not be able to resolve this issue. 2017, after 2016, realized that illegal operators invaded the Anglo Gold Ashanti concession. There was a movement committee that was formed. I was part of it. And we were able to let this over 4,500 illegal operators out of those concessions. So fast forward, came to 2017. After election, realized that the surge of this illegal mining activity is so high. And then we all agreed, the Small Scale Miners Association, we agreed, and government placed a ban on the small scale mining sector so that they bring proper intervention into the space. Majority of our members lost their capital. Myself, I lost so much because you have fixed costs that you need to even pay. Your equipment are there, your offices, you are paying, all these things. We went through that process. And then at the end of the day, the most interesting issue is that 2018 had the highest gold production in the history of this country. That is over 40%. Whilst these small scale miners, we were under embargo. And we went through series of processing. The geofence our area, you cannot mine within certain radius. All this, there was so much engagement. Training of small scale miners in UMAT, because the association have already signed memorandum of understanding. And by then we have models that we train our members so that they will be able to operate properly.
Very well. I hear you say a number of things. One, that the problem is not just caused by small-scale miners. Sometimes the large-scale people too may be involved. Number two, that some of the small-scale miners have license to mine, which is legal in the right places, but some of them give their concessions out to other people, and so though they have license, they go out of their concession and mine elsewhere. That becomes illegal. Is that correct? And so, if there's any is that correct? Yes.
Yeah, you have, what I'm saying is, if you are calling a ban on small-scale miners, and you have large-scale prospectors assigning their concessions to illegal miners, because I can say about 85% of the mineable space is in the hands of large-scale operators. About 85%.
But why will large-scale miners assign their concessions to illegal people? How would that work? How does that work?
Because this is it. Once you have a prospecting lease, you cannot mine, you are prospecting. Those who are in the forest reserve, they also have what we call the prospecting licenses. Under the prospecting license, you are just going to search whether you'll be able to get the mineral in commercial value for it to go into it and then get your operation started, because you have the geological data for you to know whether it's viable or not. At that process, you don't send excavators there. If you send excavator even, you don't send about 10 or 15. You have drill machines in there and all that. So that is it. So if the person goes in there and you realize that the person have assigned those concessions, especially to foreigners, are we not using the law and enforcing the law so that these people do the right thing? And you say there should be a total ban, which I said in 2017, 2018, there was a ban. There are so many things that is happening in terms of what government is doing, working with the small-scale miners to reduce the menace of this illegal mining.
So
when you get to the Minerals Commission now, we have a whole monitoring session there. That's the pilot project have been done, they are upscaling it. The trackers on small-scale miners equipment, which we went around, and then it was tried and tested. If you go out of your concession, it's geofenced. Your machine will not operate. The pictures you are seeing where the military and our task force are pulling these chamfans are not small-scale miners. And the Small-Scale Miners Association, during the review of the law, we made provision that manufacturing, transportation, and the use of these dredges should be a criminal offense. We as an association on our own, tracked, and we were able to take over 8,000 of these dredges from the river bodies. What we need is to sustain this effort. Most of it, we all talk, we make, because everyone is concerned, including myself. My daughter asked me, what's going on? Are you the ones destroying the water bodies and all that? Stop it, because our schools, they are saying small-scale miners and illegal miners are destroying it. I need to educate my daughter on that. We work together to resolve this issue. Everyone is concerned, but as I said, if we don't look at it properly, we bring the whole issue, the knee-jerk approach, bring the military, like what we've done over the past 30 years. You bring the military, which is a short-term solution to a long-term challenge.
I see.
Once the military leave, they come back again. So you need to handle it at a project level to sustain the effort. What are we doing at the various assemblies? Why has it failed? But the first thing is we need to clear these dredges from the river bodies. We as an association have started.
I need to address some of the issues.
In the past 2023, if you ask Ofrodria, the Ghana Water Company headquarters, the association started within 2-3 weeks on the Brame River. Most of the pump stations were working. Turbidity levels that were over 3,000 came to about 50. So an illegal operator shot our task force commander, which went to the police, and it was not handled well. We've chased, followed up, and we've not got that justice. So we say, if we cannot protect our people, let's bring them back. Now that we have concerted effort from all Ghanaians, I think we should work together. But if you say you should ban a legitimate business holder, then are we being fair as Ghanaians?
I get a point.
To do the process
very well.
To get their license.
Very well. Engineer Ken Shigbe, I know you have been on the forefront of this with us, the media. We've been trying our best. And indeed, kudos to the media for doing this and bringing the matters up and highlighting it. We've taken it up again and we'll push it till something happens. Now, you had a small-scale miner. They are in the business. They are doing a legitimate thing. They have trackers on their machines. When their trackers go beyond their concession, the machines go beyond their concession, they will not work, and etc. These are systems put in place to ensure that they do the right thing. So calling for a ban on these people, wouldn't that be unfair? Even though we know that the problems we have is existential, but are we to throw the baby away with the bathwater? Wouldn't that be unfair on the small-scale miners?
Thank you very much, Salam, and good morning to all of us. But I think that it's a red herring when anybody says that the Media Coalition, for example, we are not calling for a ban on small-scale mining. And I think Godwin was very clear. Akonta Mining, who the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources pointed for being in the Tanonimre Forest Reserve, where there is evidence that they were also mining close in the buffer of the Tano River. They are not small scale miners. Heritage Imperial, who had a prospecting license and were in the forest reserve. Gordon was kind, by even mentioning 10 excavators, with a lot of excavators. And they themselves they had brought a court case against Erasmus. In their court documents, they talked about their mining operation. They didn't talk about their exploratory or prospecting operations. Are not small-scale miners, and it's true. Most again, and get the point Gordon was making. Most of the forest reserves, the leases, the prospecting leases that have been given to the to the large-scale miners, are the ones being they have given to some mostly Chinese people to mine. So the illegality of mining has nothing to do with scale. And again, when you played the labor statement, they talked about order a halt of all forms of mining, legal and illegal, in forest reserves and around water bodies. They did not say ban small-scale mining. And then when you take the statement from the Media Coalition as well, we said the president must declare a state of emergency over our water bodies and get the military to clear everyone found on the water bodies and in the buffers. So we are very clear in our minds. It is small-scale miners, so to speak, licensed and mining in their correct places, are doing a legal job. Large-scale miners, licensed and operating according to the processes, are also doing a legal job. So we are not talking about, it is either we decide to go the El Salvador way. Then if you're going to do that, then all forms of mining. But that's not what we are calling for. What we are, and you see, you also don't ban an illegality. So we are not talking about a ban. And so I'm giving you the two examples of the two major statements that have been issued. If you really look at the thing, the illegalities that are happening in our forest reserve. The illegalities that are happening on our water bodies, are happening in the buffers. It is the reason why after we talk about the state of emergency, and I agree with everybody, the state of emergency is going to be your short-term measure, because when you are at 14,000 NTUs and climbing, that is a crisis. So when you have a hemorrhage happening like that, you do some, crisis surgeries to be able to stop the hemorrhage, and then you would then implement other things to be able to fix the problem. So there is no call, the Media Coalition, Labour is not calling on any ban. We are calling on a state of emergency, enforcing the laws that we have. And then another critical thing we are calling on is also that the NDC and the MPP sat in Parliament and passed LI 2462. And if you see the people who have been giving these permits to go into the forest reserve, we are also asking that LI be revoked. And it is the president who can revoke the LI by replacing it with a new LI. If you don't do that, you will not be able to resolve the problem. So it is very important that we realize that the call and so that red herring where you hear Honorable Mreku Duka talk about that, nobody's asking for small-scale mining. We're saying that we have not been able to enforce the laws we have. Water bodies are illegal, buffers are illegal, the water bodies take their sources from the forest reserve, revoke all licenses that have been given for people to go into the forest reserve, stop all the prospecting that is happening in the forest reserve. That is what we are asking for. And then once we get that done, then we can take steps to ensure that we get things done properly and make sure that, and again, one of our asks is also to deal with the issue of politicization. We're going to be calling on the current vice president, who is the presidential candidate of the MPP, the former president, who is the current president, the presidential candidate of the NDC, to also openly declare their revulsion for what is happening and their support for the crisis effort. Because it is true, from 2016, you will see that the current president himself was in Obuasi, denying the fact that when he came, he was not going to deal with the issues of Galamsey. We saw in 2020, the NDC also now going to stock the issues around mining. Currently, we've seen, and again, Dr. Albert, I've seen a video of President Mahama talking about the fact that the miners they've repented, those who are in jail. So it is true. I agree with you that the people who have been caught, who've been arrested and been jailed, they are not the root causes, but they also are part of it. So we cannot be saying that when we come, we are going to also, leave them, get them out. We should be talking about adding a lot more people to those who have done the wrong thing. And we've seen also an MPP presidential candidate, parliamentary candidate, standing with the current minister for the Western region, also talking about the fact that they are going to form a WhatsApp group, and then when people come confronting them, they will be attacked. So we definitely need to deal with the partisanship that has bedeviled us. So when you go back and you look at the whole trend, so far as this Galamsey is concerned, you notice that it gets worse close to elections. And currently, close to this 2024 elections, we are at the brink of extinction. 14,000 NTUs in August is unprecedented. And we need to deal with it with unprecedented. And so the draconian thing that the minister talks about, that is what we require at this particular time.
I see. Interesting and strong words from Ken, as always. Let me come to Nilante before I take a break. So Nilante, Ken says, you guys sat in Parliament, you passed LI 2462, allowing some mining in forest reserves, etc. That was quite irresponsible. Of course, we didn't hear anything about it. We just saw that the thing passed. Of course, that's subsidiary legislation. You guys don't have too much to do with it. Once it comes, it must pass, etc. But a lot of you did not raise issues with it.
Well, thank you very much. Let me take opportunity to say good morning to our viewers and listeners, and to say that when it comes to issue about mining, I am particularly very interested because it's played a part in my life. As Dr. Obin said, I grew up in the mining community. I stayed there for some time and benefited from the environment in that area. So I have interest. I've also been a student in the central region, and I've experienced the difficulties we had in times when there was virtually shortage of water and we had to depend on water tankers from outside and parents and the rest to be able to take care of our water needs. And I'm happy when I was hearing my brother Sitton Thompson, Alfred, talking about it, because he also comes from Cape Coast. And at the time, the mother went through difficulty in providing water for her students when she was headmistress. So there were times when schools are even shut down for a period because of water shortages. That's how serious we've lived in that area. And that was a time when mining activities had not had this tremendous impact on our environment and our water bodies. So you can imagine what is going to happen within these few months as related to the statement made by the Ghana Water Company, that by December, if care is not taken, schools in the central and western region will be affected by supply of water. Having laid this foundation, let me make this point clear. In this world, in the absence of accountability, impunity thrives. Why do we choose leaders? We choose leaders that they may lead us into security, prosperity, and development. We choose leaders that they will procure for us what we are unable on individual basis to procure. So if we choose leaders and they prove inept, they prove complicit, and in sometimes very incompetent in the management of things that they are supposed to do, then we have a problem. We should change. Because it seems to me leadership in the management of this problem has become very, very difficult. Because it's either individuals are complicit or they are gross incompetent in handling this issue. From what Dr. Albin said, what the chairman of the Small Scale Miners Association, General Secretary, and also Ken Ashigbe said, it's clear that the issue is how this has been managed. Whether it is small scale, whether it is large scale, whether it is industrial mining, I don't care what sort of mining. An illegality is an illegality. One, in all these categories of mining, are they involved in anything that is affecting the environment? Yes. Yes. And so, how do we resolve it? This is a basic problem. The resolution lies in leadership. And that is what has been lacking under this government. That is what is lacking. The problem of this, let me say, catastrophe that we are having is absolutely lack of leadership.
Because in your view, government is not solving the problem.
Yes. And I can give so many instances.
But you see, if government, we have a very competitive political environment. If government is trying to solve the situation in a competitive election approaching, and you have the other side dropping hints that, for example, the guys who have been jailed are not the real guys, they arrest our people and leave their people. That, coming from the top man, that politicizes and poisons the environment. So if I were the sitting government, also in the election, I'll be forced to shift positions a bit because I need to secure my numbers as well.
Because government has already made it explicit that they are not going to solve this problem, because when they tried it in 2020, they lost votes. You even made that statement in your preamble. Am I lying?
Yes, and it's a fact
and
that they lost a lot of seats in those areas.
Various government officials have said that they can't continue to lose votes because they are in government for two things. They've made that clear. One, to win elections, and two, to govern the country. That's what they have said.
Yeah, so they must govern the country.
The only way they can govern the country is to win elections. And how do they win elections? They have to win elections by making sure that where they are losing votes, they win the votes. So they are not going to stop this Galamsey. It's clear. They've made the point clear to all of us that they are not going to stop this fight, because when they try it, it will affect them. It will affect them. I want to say this here, that when the president stood on an international platform, that day we are diplomatic community, we have international media, all at that program. I was there. When he said that, because I was a parliamentary committee, I was there. Local government committee were invited. When he said that he was putting his presidency on the line, I thought that he meant it.
No, but he did. He did. He did so, and he lost seats. He nearly lost the election. Look at what is happening in Parliament
So now
today.
his presidency is not on the line.
No, but that was 2020 or before 2020.
So after that, his presidency is no more on the line.
He's been fighting it. Hasn't he been fighting it?
How?
You know,
so if he's fighting it and it's proving worse, then what do you mean? How is he fighting it? Then he has proven incompetent in his fight. Very incompetent, very incapable in this fight. Two, how do you fight it when the inactions, your inactions, are basically so obvious and virtually giving impunity creating that environment of impunity for the operatives continue. Look, let's look at Dr. Frimpong Boateng's report.
What environment is he creating to make the impunity continue?
Accountability. Lack of accountability.
But the Attorney General just told us this week or last week that 850 cases are in court. Over 76 persons have been jailed and more.
Who are the persons who have been jailed?
No, the operators, those who have been caught. Those who have been caught.
Who? You see, this is where the problem is. Salom. If you fail to pay your property rate and the city authorities come to your house, your property, do they arrest the tenants of your property or you, the property owner?
That's an interesting analogy you want to draw there.
Oh, no,
but if
I'm
I
just
catch you in the process, if I'm leaving the house, I'm leaving the house. if you catch me in the pit doing the illegality, you'd have caught me red-handed, and so I need to face the music too. So if you arrest me and you punish me, when I come back, I may not do it again. Whilst you look for maybe the other people, and some of those people, some of them don't have masters.
When you arrest,
some of them don't have masters. Some of them are their own masters.
When you arrest that labor, the baron, the kingpin, hires another labor tomorrow.
But some of them don't have kingpins. They are their own kingpins.
Who said?
I mean, if I'm mining behind my house,
how can you buy a Shenfang machine? Can you buy an excavator? Can you?
But what is clear is that what is clear.
I'm asking you a question.
I mean, I don't know. But what is clear? What is clear is that people have been arrested and punishment has been exacted.
People have been arrested. Look, when the United Nations, led by the US, decided to handle the issue of drugs, they did not go around South America and Central America arresting the ordinary guys who were working on the drug farms. You understand? They arrested the barons. They arrested the barons.
So your point is that the government is not arresting the
so-called
barons?
Because according to Frimpong Boateng,
the barons are there.
The barons are there. Then barons are known. According to Erastus Donko, the barons are there. The barons are close, next door to the presidency. You understand? According to the media coalition against Galamsey, the barons are known. Can Ashibe mention 2 companies? Just 2. He mentioned just 2. Those 2 companies, and the owners of those companies are known.
They are the barons.
You see, the issue is that let's fight this thing. And my brother said we should not be partisan about it.
Yes.
But at the end of it all, the only way, the political actors, if we really care about this, I will be too pleased for him to mention names of NDC operatives who are involved in this, so that somebody like me will take note that in 2025, this, my colleague, is one of my targets if I have to deal with the issue of Galamsey.
Very well.
You understand? It is clear that the government in its body and entirety are complicit, involved in this. So lack of leadership that should help us be able to arrest this fight is not there.
Very well. This is the big issue, 97.3 City FM, also on Channel One television and all social media platforms. My name is Selom Adonu. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we will probe the issues further, whether indeed we can proceed on this fight, winning this fight without being partisan. It's a political decision. Livelihoods are at stake, etc. Even though it's illegal. How can we do this devoid of politics? We'll be right back. Yeah, welcome back. This is the big issue, 97.3 City FM, Channel One television, and on our social media platforms. My name is Selom Adonu. I have a number of guests here who are doing justice to the matter. Dr. Tony Obin, former CEO of Minerals Commission, Godin Ama, General Secretary of the National Association of Small-Scale Miners, Nilante Vanderpoel, MP Odododio, Dr. Engineer Ken Ashigbe, convener Media Coalition Against Illegal Mining, and Alfred Thompson, member of the MPP Communications team. In the first part of the show, there was an argument about a video, and Tony Obin dared us to play the video, or he said we could play the video. That video is ready. We'll play that video, take a few comments, and then we'll continue the discussion. So let's see that video of some NDC officials in one of the Galamsey areas, which has become topical in the last few days.
Obeka, Namebua, after on the 11th, on the 7th, and she say, at the mom, because on one of the better now. said the bear you and no blay or my you might take a clay. Most would be not a silly. Now so that's how I let you process 1 month out of Alcohine. Now so the other Bayaguma. Now so do Chromo call for Friday. Eddie into Quaco to Abana, a John Daman Mahama, a 2 diet. Yan Pepe, you man, Galamsey, a Ghana Betu Galamsey. And I do one I hear no so in another vanguard for no that over. And the players are crackers say, Yatua Baria, Mubesa, vanguard in Mukina. Yayans now say, am I by when the good man on the 7th, on the 8th, on the 9th. Yabana Mahama in Mumranda Yabuma. And now, Mekano, Yamiadum. This is Yami Buana Mutama John Damani Mahama. Namutama Abubakar Sadika. Namusa John Mama Adim Kunim. I got a Sadiq Adim Kunim. That's the difference one. Muyama Juma. Namusa you will see her. So what a Katama. Muslim who. If you are Tremo, Mayan to Abano, never more as Mohubai. Vanguard no Omunguno. Vanguard no Edaso. About 20 more my day.
Well, so that's the video. We saw a gentleman, Koku Buahin, also telling the people that about Tony John and that Tony Obi sitting here on which means that he's a guy who will go to the Minerals Commission. I didn't know you are okay. That was 2020. I don't know about now, but he is the one who will go back to the Minerals Commission. So he has everything under control. Just when it's declared, they should go back, do their job. Ejumani Mbegunu will not come and destroy the job, etc., etc. So that's a political activist making those comments in 2020. The issue has been that when political activists make such comments, you put the other side on defense, and because it's a game of numbers, they also want to counter or they cannot act. Now, the issue about Tony Obin being mentioned, I mean, the point is being that he was one of the guys who went to encourage the people. Of course, at least in this video, we did not see him. He was there in the cap and I think the mask. He didn't talk. But the point is that you were there and you saw them speak. You abetted. No,
I'm a lawyer. I'm sure you are a lawyer.
Yes.
So I understand abetment. There's no.
But you were there. You were there. You give encouragement.
I didn't give any encouragement to anything. The thing is that I had gone there, and the reason for my being there is even different from the reason for the people. I needed to. I had also gone out there with some NPP people just to collect information. Yes, it wasn't to campaign. It wasn't to campaign. It wasn't to campaign. So I was there observing. No, but they were not. If you have gone,
but you had gone in the company of NDC people.
Yeah, I went in the company of NDC people. So if I'm there observing, I haven't spoken. Why would you attribute a speech to me? You can say he was there. Tony Obi was even there when he made those statements.
He didn't say anything.
But I couldn't have said. Of course, I couldn't have said anything when he was talking.
But after he finished speaking, did you tell him what he said?
Yeah, after that, I was even teasing him that when did President Mahama said he was going to appoint me to do it? President Mahama never told me he would appoint me to any position. Even now, I have heard him say many times that any person within the party, nobody should think of any position because he hasn't given any idea of who will be where. So President Mahama never gave him any power. But of course, as a political activist, he went there. He was speaking. He said, "Mumbra paper, and then
that's license.
Yes,
so come for license. Regularize them, make them legal.
That's the implication. Legitimate. But the truth is that the target has been on me unnecessarily and in a malicious way. I never spoke. I was there. I go to money. Even when I go back to my community, I'll go and observe how things are going. Sometimes I have written. I've published. In fact, I've published and people quote what I have done. In fact, one of my publications was even edited by Vice President Baumia in his book. I mean, an edited book with Professor Kwaku Apia Edu. And they know my views. Everybody knows my views. Google me. Google and see whether...
So the more reason why it was disappointing that you will be there and something you were against.
Did I know what...
But you could have issued a statement later to say you did...
The thing is that they
disagreed with that.
No, I've said that. I have said that many times. In fact, the thing didn't come out because it wasn't something that was meant to come out. It didn't come out until after the elections. It was until after the elections. In any case,
no, because we meant that the result was good. But because the advocacy in the pit resulted in the MPP losing some seats.
I still insist that it's a very warped logic because MPP lost in areas where there are no Galamseys. In fact, my own in-law. Listen, my own in-law in Teshi. In Teshi, there's no Galamsey in Teshi, and he was working hard. He also lost.
Who? Okoboy?
Yes.
Okoboy is your in-law?
Yes. Yeah. But the point is that if you lose election, it is not because one person has gone somewhere and therefore...
concerted effort.
One person has gone somewhere, stood there, and therefore 7... Then I have to go to many places, just stand there and get...
I'm wondering why you are not even going to
exactly.
All right.
Why are you doing this to yourselves?
Alfred. So it appears that there's a lot of demand for action. Now, the clarity is coming up that the ban is not on small-scale miners per se. The ban should be in forest reserves. The ban should be on activities on water bodies. I mean, it's a no-brainer. We shouldn't even contemplate leaving water bodies in the care of galamseyers or miners. In fact, it's even illegal to do that in the first place. So even if you have a license and you are mining on water bodies, that in itself is wrong. So why do we leave our water bodies without protection? And the forest reserves. And the Akunta mine, the government is doing a lot. Akunta mine, EPA and the minister have said that it was wrong for Akunta mine, whose boss is, what's the name? Yentumi, Ashanti Regional Chairman of your party. Wontumi, Ashanti Regional Chairman of your party. It was wrong for them to have done that. Minerals Commission said at the time they did that, they had their license application pending, which means that they had no legitimacy to go into the forest. They did. We have not punished them. So, and that's a baron perhaps that Nilante was talking about. The barons are there, no accountability. We go and pick up laborers who are doing by day, and we punish them and we say we are fighting it. That is hypocrisy, is it not?
You see, the Akunta one is a one-off that happened. That we all saw, and immediately they were kicked out of the forest.
No,
but I'm building a point. Building a point. I don't know which punishment they've given them. I don't know which punishment.
But we should know.
Them. I said I don't know.
But we also don't know, which means
so
and he's walking about.
I can find out and let you know. Because there are certain things that happen. They might not come out and announce that I can disturb you.
Yeah, allow him to.
No, you've come with your party colors, so
he's my brother.
I want to leave you
I'm
today.
Just asking me a simple question.
Now,
are you pretending not to
I was
know,
listening to Neil Ante's logic on this, what do you call it? This house, no, the house and the landlord as against the tenant.
Yes.
And I don't think it's logical. When you look at the whole scenario that has gone on. Now, I've gone to the forest. The first people that I need to arrest, and he's a lawyer, he knows, are the people on hand. When I arrest you, your bosses will come. If they don't come and you are jailed, the people who are in that vicinity would refuse to go and do the same work that their brothers went to do and were jailed. But he said, no, we should leave them and go and look for the kingpins. I mean, come on, where is this done?
But you can arrest the kingpins. The kingpins are the key guys.
The first people you arrest when you go to any court are the people who were on us.
And what do you
but
do?
After
and
that,
then when you take them to court,
now.
no, when you take them to court and they are not ready to mention who sent them to go and do it, and they said they went on their own, can you force them? Let the law work.
But you
so
can also
if you go to
investigate.
court, if you go to court, I send you to court, and you go there and you mention Neil Ante, that Neil Ante sent me to go and do it, they will call Neil Ante to come. They will call Neil Ante to come. So if you are not ready to mention Neil Ante, I will not, and I cannot do anything but to make sure that the law should work.
But Alfred,
when the law is working,
and
then you alone come to stand there and say that, oh, when I come, I'll release you because you haven't done anything wrong. You think it's right?
It's not right.
Is that how we fight? Is that how we fight?
And it's not right. And two wrongs don't make it right.
Where those activities are happening,
and two wrongs.
There are two of you against me.
And two wrongs.
You went with an NDC organizer to go and stand there and folded your hands and watch them to mention your name. That when you come back, you are going to die. And say there's nothing wrong with it. Let's come back. The two of you are NDC, so let us.
If you are talking somewhere, you fold your arms, it means that you are standing aloof. You don't care what's happening.
If today I'm a candidate in Cape Coast South and I go that I'm going to do campaign, and I go with Nilante, and I say, oh, Nilante is even my brother, and he supports me, and he's wearing this dress
and
that he's wearing, and he doesn't say anything. Do you know what it means? It's consent.
It's part of it.
He appreciates what I'm doing, that point. And he says that I'm supporting you because he didn't utter a word, and he had folded the arms and was enjoying it because when they come back, they'll give him minerals commission.
I appreciate that point.
So it's okay for him. And you think you come and sit here and tell us that, oh, and Ghanaians will believe that, oh, because you didn't say anything, so you are not part of it.
No.
It is totally unacceptable.
I didn't say
it's totally unacceptable.
Did you see Paul Adumache?
Dr. Obe, don't say this anywhere again.
No.
Don't ever say this anywhere again.
Paul Adumache.
You're not just laughing at you because you know what I'm talking about.
Did you hear what
this is politics.
Did you hear Dr. Obe
This is politics.
The fact.
Doc, we don't have
the fact is that you didn't say anything because you consented to it.
But consent is not saying.
Now, let's come
so I'm saying that I want to interrogate your analogy. So the people who are arrested, they may not mention names. Yes. They may go through, may even plead guilty, go through without mentioning names. But if the state is minded to nip the canker in the bud, the machinery they were using, we can trace the machinery to the people. No, burning is not enough. Burning is not enough. The concession they were working on. Who owned the concession? Who owned the concession? We have to interrogate that. The machinery.
When they take all these things away from you, that concession is stopped.
No, but who owns it? Stopping it as if you see me, if you see a thief, the thief is holding items he has stolen, and just take it from him.
Listen, if it's legal,
and you don't prosecute him, it's not
if
enough.
it's legal that you have a concession, and maybe you've tied a tube from that place into a river body.
So it's
the person who you arrest.
Yes,
the person who did that.
Yes, and I'm saying that it's also useful to know who owns the concession. Whatever activity was done with the consent of the person who has the concession.
I always say is that arrest the people that you can see on hand. Then you go into the next phase. You might not renew the person's license for him. You might revoke the license. You can do so many other things, which we can go and check. Sometimes it's done. Licenses are revoked.
I see.
You see, but if the person himself wasn't there, the people who are working are the people you arrest, and that should be done. And that is why I keep on saying that we can sing all sorts of tunes to this, but if at the end of the day we are all not ready to fight it, then it comes back to the same thing. You will sit here and you say it's a canker. Yes, we all know it's a canker, but how are you as a party also fighting it? We are bringing in solutions. We are looking at the way forward. We are saying that, listen, these are livelihoods. So when you stop it, at the end of the day, people's livelihoods are being stopped. And let us, you see, we keep on saying, oh, Galamsey. There are small-scale miners who have been granted license. And I'm glad that the General Secretary stated it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that because one or two people are invading a forest or invading certain places that haven't got license, so we should ban everything. Good. Let us look at how we will stop it, and let us also look at innovative ways of making sure that we bring these people together and build them into the Ashanti Gold, AGC, and the gold fields that we've seen, and the new ones that we've seen. How can we bring about 5 or 6 people together, get them enough funding, get them machinery, and let them go into big money? No, that is what we are looking at. That is building people up to be minorized. Why should we always bring people to come and explore? Big companies to come and explore. When we can also do it.
We need to
when we can also do it. When you start putting these measures in place, you stop them from destroying it, and you are able to control it very well. And they are the people who will fight all those small-scale miners from coming in.
I see. Let me speak to Godwin. Godwin, the other concern is that, yes, some of your guys may not be mining in the water bodies, but some of them, you know, they don't mine in there, but they wash their find in the water bodies. So they may not have equipment, they're mining actively, but when they finish mining from wherever, they go and wash the find in the water bodies. That is also polluting the water bodies. Are you aware of that?
Okay, thank you. First of all, when you mine, you don't go in and wash into the water body. The small scale mine, you have your coordinates that you work within. So for instance, what sort of recovery methods are you using? Some are using gravity, some are using panning, and some are also using these gold catches to operate. So you need clean water. So you pump your water into a pond, or you have a borehole, or a storage tank. When you are done, then you do your sluicing. You don't see them in the river. You don't see the small-scale miner in the river because I've got my concentrate. That is all the efforts is in the concentrate. I need clean water. That's why I'm telling you that now we use boreholes because most of the water bodies, the turbidity levels are so high. So if someone says we take the gold from our concession and take it to the riverside and go and process it there, as I said, some are mining underground and the river is about 2, 3, 4 kilometers away from them. Some around 10 kilometers away from them. So you need to understand our business. It's a technical business. I'm not holding brief for every small-scale miner.
Because we know that some of the small-scale miners wash their fine in the water bodies. I understand the general principle. The general principle you are enunciating, but we have reports that some of your colleagues wash theirs in the water bodies.
No, those who were, if you have any of them washing into it, then they should be dealt with. But I'm telling you, those who are on the water bodies, they treat it there. If you look at this turbidity, you cannot use this water to treat your concentrates. You cannot use it. So what I think we should do is this. First of all, we understand the issue. We, the association, want to engage the media, want to engage the editors like an editor forum, explain it, they ask their questions, then we'll be able to work together from a level of informed position to be able to handle this issue and get a proper solution to that. In your studio now, even watching, such a serious issue, if we try to play politics with it, we'll not be able to solve it.
But can we take politics out of it at all? Because livelihoods are involved, emotions are involved.
You have about 1 million people. I listen to
and numbers are involved. Yes.
Yeah, the number. Let me explain something. I listened to organized labor. They said you have about 200,000 people involved. 200,000 is for the large-scale operations. You have this within both legal and illegal. You are looking at directly 1 million people involved.
That's a huge number for politics.
And then these people also have
friends.
Dependents.
And dependents, yeah.
They also have got suppliers. The last band magazine was totally shut down. That is where most of the suppliers are in the west side. At Boboloshi, the timber market area, those who supply the mines, they were all out of business. So you don't just look at it from just 200,000, but the linkages, the hotels, the caterers, those who supply food, rice vendors, and all these people, when you put it together, it's a very big constituency. You are looking at over 4 million people. That is why it's so difficult, because it's a numbers game. And that is why you realize that there's so much politics. Everyone is trying to make some sort of statements to get some sort of favor from this constituents. So it is very important for us to work together. Project Ghana, not project party politics.
But Gordon, given the numbers you have mentioned and the fact that there's money involved too, how can we do this devoid of politics? Because everybody wants to appeal to this community or this constituency, and that is where the challenge is. How you are in the area, you are in the field. How do we do this devoid of politics? Is it possible at all?
It's possible. It's possible.
How?
You see, anytime you have political interference in state institutions and in professional bodies, you render those professionals that should lead to become unprofessional in their dealings. A typical example is how we saw a video that Dr. Tony Obing was standing somewhere and you had this politician speaking. But at the end of the day, once he is there, his presence, people are seeing him as an unprofessional person, in a way, in quotes. And it takes time for you to explain and explain, because we are holding you because you understand the mining sector properly. So your presence alone, people will say, no, once this man is there, this issue cannot happen. You know. So at the local level, this is what we need to do. Party politics at the local level, they are more superior than even the DCs. The constituency executives in my work, they are more powerful than the DCs. Both NDC and MPP, when it comes to the ground, everyone is making sure. When you arrest, we did some arrests on these Chamfan guys. I tell you, both the political parties, everyone is pleading that these guys, we need to give them another opportunity. They will not go there and all that at the ground. But when we work together with the district assemblies, the small scale, we will be able to sustain the effort. We can reduce it, especially those on the river bodies. We know where they are manufacturing these chamfans. Why can't we stop them? If you stop where they manufacture them, and then where they transport them and how they put them on the water, we started the process. Most of the DCs will attest to that. They call the Small Scale Miners Association. Anytime there's any challenge, we go there. And there's so much corruption, especially within the security services. So much corruption. You arrest, they take the people, take money and leave them. Some of the people that we arrested, some even assisted them that they should say they are farmers.
Wow.
So when we take corruption out, we shouldn't only blame the political elites. We should also look at the security services.
We understand some of the military or security officers are deeply involved, and a lot of them have been compromised. Some of them actually, some of them own chamfans.
I've been told that some even own chamfans.
Wow.
By those chamfan guys. And there's unemployment issues also. If you look those who are dredging the river bodies, if you take a data, majority of them are coming from the Volta region. I asked one and he says, look, we are coming from Bato. We have no job opportunities there. What we know is how to dredge. So they dredge for sand. So there are people who will pick them from there. They live in the community. They will employ all these guys because their specialty is on the river. They resource them for them to go and work and do the dredging for them to get the gold as a cheaper cost.
So you see, the people we want to arrest to end this or to reduce this are the people who go for the boys from Bato, etc. They are the main guys who have the money.
That we should. So when we get them,
but we are not getting them.
We ask, who brought you there? If you don't mention their names, you people will be held liable because it's someone that is bringing them there because they are unemployed.
So when you ask them, do they mention names? Do they mention names?
Recently, we've identified some people, but once you arrest those people and take them to the court, because you cannot link them directly to the crime, they will go and come back. So you need to get them right in course of doing the illegality, and those people are so smart that you don't get them. So when you arrest the people on the water body and they don't say anything to link them, then they are the culprits. So they should also speak. They should also help us to solve the problem. But if they are not speaking, they are not pointing fingers at those who employ them, and they are quiet, we cannot get these kingpins.
I see. Engineer Kanashibe, we in the media will continue shining the light. We'll continue pushing. We'll continue doing all that we are doing. But whilst we conclude on this matter, you know, I know you've talked about your prescriptions many times. Beyond advocacy, etc., what else can we be doing?
Well, thank you very much.
So TUC, for example, says strike. Is that a viable option?
Oh, definitely it is. You see, we are the sovereign of the nation. The Constitution gives that power to us. And so, you know, forming committees that have been done in the past that have failed. You know, you even get a committee chairperson presenting a report that nothing happens to. You know, calling for meetings at this time is not it. You know, the point has clearly been made by Godwin. We know the challenges. The water bodies are under threat. So that state of emergency need to be declared over the water bodies, over the forest reserves. The revocation of that lines of that LI has to happen by the president, getting the Ministry of Mesti to send another LI to Parliament to replace that. We would need to start enforcement. The interesting thing is that if you look at both the NDC and the MPP, their manifestos have nothing to do with the the issues of dealing with the crises and enforcement, because all of them want to take advantage of that. But the interesting thing I need to tell Godwin is that 4 million people, we have over 16 million also on the voter list. The challenge is that we've not been able to link for the people who are being born deformed, the people in Cape Coast and Edina who currently don't have water, the people who are dying we've not been able to link effectively. So that's where the media also comes in. A lot of education for the things that have to be done. But we need, if we don't deal with this issue, and again, Neil Ante was spot on about that. The times when we were in Cape Coast where they shut a lot of the schools and we had to cut them, this irresponsibility was not at this point. So at this particular point in time where we have 14,000 getting to 20,000, if we don't deal with this issue immediately, what is going to happen is that we'll start licking clay. So it is important that by the end of the month, if the president does not take any decisive step, the media, we would work together with the labor unions and make sure that the demonstrations and the strike, we would put all the necessary pressure we have to put. And then if we also don't get politicians, those who are seeking our vote, align with us, the 12 million vis-a-vis those who say they are benefiting from that, we would also point them also out as also enemies of the state. This is genocide that is happening. And if you are in a genocide, you're in a crisis, you don't take, these measures that you've done in the past that have not worked.
I see. Organized labor also called for the institution of specialized courts to deal with prosecuting Galamsey matters or illegal mining matters. Is this a necessity right now? Because Attorney General tells us that 850 cases are in court and are going prosecution already. 76 convictions have been secured. Those guys are behind bars, the matters have ended on those 76 ones.
Salam,
yes.
You remember that in the UK, when they had these xenophobic attacks, you saw how the speed with which people were taken to court and prosecuted. And you saw the resolution of that. Did you see the UK form any committees and start meetings to do that? You see, we've gotten to the point where now the Chinese, when they are arrested and they are taken to court, we are told that they can't translate, that there are no translators. So yes, we need a special, and you see, interestingly, the late Mafusa, the Supreme Court judge, when we are fighting this, one of the things he said to me is that if we really want to be effective, we should ask that all Galamsey cases be brought to Accra and Kumasi with the eagle eyes of the Chief Justice on it before we'll be, because of the things that happen, the complicity and the corruption that Godwin mentioned goes all the way to even to the court. You remember there's a prosecutor who told us that 2 Chinese had died and they had been cremated.
Yes, I recall that.
Yes, what has IGP done about people like that? So it is the state of emergency that would give us that power to make sure that things like that like this don't happen. But unfortunately, it doesn't look like our leaders seem to appreciate the crises that we are under.
So for you, the formation of the interministerial ad hoc committee, the ad hoc interministerial committee, doesn't cut it for you. We know what it is. Let's go ahead and do it and stop the committee. Is that it? But we need people to come up with the recommendations. That's what the committee will do.
Yeah, but Salom, there are recommendations that have been given already. At least if they take what the labor has done and what almost agree with what the media coalition said. So when a child is brought to a hospital, hemorrhaging and bleeding, that's not the time the doctors form a committee, to try and figure out what to do. They will stop the bleeding, and then if there are some complexities in it, then they will all sit together to resolve it. So, the committee that has been formed, we don't even know what their terms of reference are. We want to see the action by the president to halt the hemorrhage, to halt the poisoning, to halt the pollution of the water bodies, to halt the destruction of the forest. And then we can all sit together to find out the ways to do this. And, and the solutions are really very simple. And I think that it is important that we use the examples of people who've done it, tried it. So the small scale miners, for example, Godwin mentioned the experience on the brim, for example, they did it. Those chamfans, you don't just go into the water bodies and burn it. It's cheap for them to just come back again and fix it. You need to be able to pull them out of the water bodies and take them out of there. But again, when you're traveling from Accra to Kumasi for a long time, there was a welder close to the Union police station who was fabricating these platforms, and so if you really want to deal with it, The place that they are manufacturing it, you go and a state of emergency. That person within 24 hours is jailed. And then the media will publish it and everybody will know that that is what is happening. Then everybody will start, the Chinese ambassador has told us, Chinese people who are doing this thing, deal with them. Don't listen to people like the senior minister who say, what you deal with them, jail them. And then afterwards you deport them. And so that's what we all need, the commitment of everybody to make sure that this will work. Not only the political class, our technocrats, the police people. How is it that these chamfans are travel our roads and nobody is able to arrest them? The EPA, the Minerals Commission, all those people who are in those places. What has happened to our drones? The drones that were supposed to allow us to be able to see this. I hear the deputy minister talk about the river guards. The river guards, it was in September 2022 that these river guards were the first one were safe. You have not implemented that, and now you are telling us that you have the BDT at 40,000 NTU. You are going to introduce river guards. You said you are going to introduce in 2022. These boats, speedboats, were commissioned in 2022. Again, the technical people. The specifications that they gave for this river, the boats that they got was completely wrong. It's the reason why we're not able to use this. So the challenge is not only on the political class, but it is on all of us, the professionals, who are not doing our jobs. And I agree with Nilante when it says it. It's those who are doing this. If you have a chief, a big paramount chief, and then close to your palace, there is Galamsey happening, you are either complicit or you are incompetent. If you're a DC and you are representing the president in these constituencies, you are an MP, you are the deputy minister for lands and natural resources, and you yourself, there's Galamsey happening in your constituency. And you remember, the Speaker of Parliament also mentioned that they in Parliament, some of them are involved in it. The Speaker, the time we've got into is not the time for him just to be, complaining like we do. He has a lot of powers. He can summon the Interior Minister, let him come with his IGP and give them the names of those he knows who are involved in it. Let's get these people and prosecute them. And I tell Albert, please, Akonta Mining, we petitioned the IGP. He referred the case to the Director CID. Nothing has happened to it. So when he leaves here, he should go and make sure that is done. Heritage Imperial, I mentioned it to Honorable Mreku Duka. Nothing has been done about it. If you don't start acting like Otumfuo, where even his chiefs, he distools them. And he's told you that he's distooled them. Up to now, none of those three chiefs have been even invited to the police station. If we don't change this attitude, we will not be able to resolve this problem. And if we don't do that, we all will be called one day that we were part of the group that allowed Ghana to become extinct.
Very well. Thanks so much, Dr. Engineer Ken Ashigbe. Very spot on. So let's hear the Chinese ambassador. Engineer Ken Ashigbe mentioned what the Chinese ambassador said. Okay. So
always request Chinese citizens here to do things legally, to do things according to law and local laws and regulations, and even traditional customs. Like I know you have a lot of traditional customs. We ask Chinese, that's our way. We always, and I know there are some Chinese, not all Chinese, there are some Chinese, involved in this illegal mining, but we discourage them. And I follow, because I was accompanied President Akufo-Addo to Beijing. He even mentioned this. When he met our president last time in 2018, our president said to himself that if any Chinese committed any illegal things here in Ghana, you do according to your law. We support you do according to your law. So we discourage Chinese people doing this illegal mining.
So that's the Chinese ambassador. He's called Ton Difang, who is been clear on what should happen. So there you are. It's the Chinese ambassador is throwing the challenge. When you arrest them, deal with them. Don't say they've died and you've cremated them and we don't have any trace. I mean, that is what it is. It does appear that government must do more than it is doing. Government is joking with the issues, forming committees here and there. When we know what to do. So what assurances can you give us on this today, not later after an election? Today, there's been caused by many people to do some things which are quite clear. The water body, let's clear the water bodies off all these chamfans and things. Let's have the water bodies regenerate. The forest reserves. Let's do something. I mean, what are we doing, Alfred? Sorry. Okay, no, do that. I'll come to him.
Salom, we all know. Which 10 again do you want?
No, because normally from there I come to him. Sorry.
He has everything he wants to say already.
He'll say a few more things.
Salom, we all know that Nanado has bought speedboats for the military. He's done everything he has to do to empower the military to make sure that they clear all these water bodies, as well as getting the helicopters and everything for them. I mean, under this government, he's equipped them so much that they have enough to fight it. It's for all of us to ask the military and fight them. That, listen,
but the president is commander-in-chief.
We expect, but he's one person. Listen, I'll give you everything you need to fight this. We all have to get involved. That is what I keep on saying. We all have to get involved. It's not one person's job. Because he's the commander-in-chief, let's leave it for him alone to fight it.
But he must show leadership.
Oh, my brother. The leadership, the first thing is to make sure that you equip the people to go down there and fight it. Go down there and fight it. By equipment. If you tell me that go and fight it and I haven't given you any equipment, that's as was happening at first. You think people can fight this menace? You have to equip them, which he's done it. So after that, we all come together and say that, yes, you've done it. Like, I keep on telling you that the chiefs are involved, the youth in the area are involved, all the people in the area are involved. If you allow people to drive in the trucks or the payloaders and drive through and bring things there, then it's up to you.
Then he should resign then. Because
why should he resign? Because he's doing his work.
And it's not working.
He's doing his work.
The water bodies have become more polluted than before when they didn't even have equipment. Now that they have equipment, the water bodies have become more polluted. The situation has gotten worse. So there should be a missing link somewhere. How do we reconcile the two?
This is one out of the 1,000 jobs the president has done.
No, but it's his job.
You can't tell him to resign on one issue. Because he's done so many other good things.
No, but he put his,
you can't tell him, and he put his job on the line. And when you people went there to do it, he lost 7 seats.
So he
lost 7 seats when Mr. Obin and this thing went there. Your organizer went there at that time. Dr. Obin went there. He hasn't stopped. He's still working on it.
But he's not
and he's not going to relent. He's not going to relent his effort in fighting
I will
this.
do better.
Immediately,
I will do better.
The concerned labours and COS and everything started talking. He's formed a 7-member committee to look into this and bring their recommendation immediately. They are taking immediate steps and steps for the future. There are 2 things you are doing, immediate and in the future. And that is what he's doing. And anyone who knows what he's about will go that way. You can't say that because they said no, then immediately you stop everyone from mining. That's not how it's done. Because people are there legally mining. And as he told you, over 1 million people are employed in this, direct and indirect. Over 1 million. And all these 1 million people have descendants. The moment you ban it, what you are saying is that there's a halt in certain economic activities in your country. And
illegal.
that is why...
Illegal.
No. How many of them are illegal? You see,
the illegals are many.
The illegal are not up to 1 million. The illegal will not even get up to 50,000 or 100.
No, of course.
Those
that's the entire chain.
You see, the moment they say Galamsey, they
so
take
now we've admitted that the small scale who are legitimate, they are not really the problem. The problem are those who are doing it on the fringes, who are doing it irresponsibly and not following the rules.
And those are the people we are attacking.
Yes, but we are not seeing it. We are not seeing it. We are not seeing it.
Those are the people we are attacking and addressing. And I am telling you that within the next few weeks, you would hear something.
That's refreshing.
Within the next few weeks, you would hear something.
That's refreshing. Yes.
The accounts have a where they say Agrobe saw a friend of
But sometimes Agro can saw in the afternoon.
And
that is why he
Chino
said
Achebe says,
he said not to the forest.
I don't know. He said
Not the forest.
the bird that will grow into a chicken, he said for me is hatching.
Okay.
You understand?
Yes, the bird that will go into a chicken is what?
That small chicken that will grow into a good bird is seen from its hatching.
Okay.
What about I confirm?
Don't get distracted.
Excavators will fly. Excavators will fly. You see, let's say this. He said the president is working. In 2017, the president addressed MMDCs at the Local Government Institute. His minister for local government, Adia Lima, said some of you here are involved in Galamsey. And if you don't stop, I'll make sure you are sacked. 4 years. Nothing happened.
Maybe they stopped.
The situation became worse.
Was the DCE
Today, as I'm talking to you now, there are DCEs who openly in public have made pronouncements and have been involved in actions that is supporting these activities. They have not been touched. The DCE for Hunter West was seen with the regional minister. Busume Frem, Asante Achim. All these people are there. Echuman Ponya, all these people are there. They have been involved in various Galamsey, and nothing has happened. 2, the president himself said it, that any DCE who sits down and allow his jurisdiction to be used in these activities will be dealt with. How many of them are dealt with? Let me also go to this. Today, according to Frimpong Boate's report, the deputy minister for lands and natural resources, Mreku Duka, is involved in Galamsey. Today, Bawumia has appointed him as his liaison for mining communities. Mreku Duka. Ekowuzi was mentioned. John Boedu was mentioned. We all know about Akunta. We know about Heritage Imperial. We know people behind it. To the extent that Frimpong Boate's report even mentioned 2 companies that have relationship with the vice president.
Which companies?
Go and read Frimpong Boate's report, not me. You see, all these things point to the fact that the president stood there, made this comment. Honorable Kennedy Ajapong sat on TV and said the president is sitting down and holes have been dug around him with this Galamsey menace.
But they disputed it. The chiefs in the area said it wasn't true.
They disputed it. They disputed the statement by Kennedy Ajapong.
No, the Frimpong Boate one, the president's house one.
I'm not talking about Achim. Okay. I'm not talking about Achim Abuakwa one.
But why do you
I'm talking, look, Achim Abuakwa, me, as Deputy Minister for Local Government, when we do a National Sanitation Day, I went to a Tiwa, and a Tiwa school for the deaf, football field, there was machine. I got the company arrested.
Was the president's house dug?
Please, a Tiwa is just 100 meters away from the president's hometown.
In fact, the president's
it's 100 meters from the president's wall. Etiwa is 100 meters away from the president's wall in Chebi.
So you went to Chebi. Did you go to the president's?
No, you see, I'm
just
saying these things.
When you are doing allegations,
I'm just saying these things because, you see,
it tells you
when you are a leader, your action and inaction may give impetus to people who are doing right or wrong. Depending on how you act, the president has become a lame duck in this fight. Look, let me tell you this. You see, today, as we sit here, the turbidity level has gone to 14,000. The turbidity, because sometimes it confuses me with turbidity.
Yeah, turbidity.
The turbidity level has gone to 14,000. 2030, we may have to import water. That's how serious it is. It's a national crisis. National crisis. So me, sitting here, I totally agree with the trade unions. I totally agree with the media coalition. We need to take emergency measures. Where the situation has reached now, it's a national catastrophe. It's a national disaster. It's a national security problem. It must be handled as such. Look, when we were introducing National Sanitation Day, we went to the Chief Justice then. Do you know what she said? My auntie, to Georgina Wood, she told us that the only way I can help you achieve your objective is to help us set up sanitation courts. This is what led to we pushing the idea for district assemblies to cede off some of their money to build courts in the various districts to help. She was even determined that she will even get judges to sit even on weekends for sanitation offenses. You understand? That is what we call proaction to issues. I totally agree with the issue, the TUC saying that we must have a specialized court. I totally agree with the media coalition. if the president really means this fight, tomorrow, Monday, I expect the president to send memo to Parliament immediately revoking the legislation. If he thinks that is the problem, if we all agree that that legislation is the problem, the president should do it. I expect the president tomorrow to fire all DCs in those jurisdictions where these activities are happening. Because the Pra River, the Ankobra River, the Birim River runs through various districts, runs through regions. So the regional ministers, the DCs in those jurisdictions must immediately be fired. That is the way we can see that President Akufo-Addo meant it when he said he was putting his presidency on the line.
Very well.
Other than that, there must be total change, and people must suffer for it.
Very well.
The only way we can bring people accountable for causing this mess and virtually putting the life and the future of our children and our children's children at risk is to have a change of government so that people can suffer punishment. People can suffer punishment. People can have. We have to reset our methods. Our methods. Where?
It was worse before.
Where?
It's not a change of
when?
government. It was worse before.
When?
When you even have
But you're talking like Dombra.
He's talking like another brand, and then
Daku,
Helen Daku. You are just talking like them. When he has been condemned and he himself has shot, he's virtually gone out of.
That is not a change of government that will change this.
Oh,
but
because the previous, we know how it was.
Government.
All right, let me take the final words from. Let me take the.
You know the previous how it was.
From Obi.
I think this Galamsey thing is a serious issue. The impact is, we are importing water already. When they say in some years will be avian water, it's not produced in Ghana. There's another water that is also...
But now it's luxury. You can always import
but yes, so we have started importing water. If we had people were assured of the quality of the water, we were not going to even import that at all. So now, during COVID time, when we were in that crisis, it took the president just a word. The president stood in his office and said, everybody must sleep. Those in Accra, you must sleep. And everybody obeyed. So, mining in water bodies, you don't even need anything. You can just say that from today, anyone found on the water bodies mining would be arrested, and we insist on that. It just takes that announcement, and you can achieve that. We need to be radical with this challenge. Of course, recognizing that there are employment issues and all that. We need to be radical. Me, as I sit here, I have worked in the industry for a very long time. I don't have a scintilla of concession. I've never applied for a concession. Let us ask those political activists, the political operatives who are behind, some videos and talking. Ask them to look into their God and whether they don't have concession either by themselves or by proxy. I don't have one. I have never had one. I have never had one. So the thing is that I cannot be the one. That is a problem. The president has the power. He's got all the power to stop it. And when you are in government, you have a responsibility. It is not always wanting to come to power that is the issue. You have a responsibility. One, we should reduce human intervention in our fight. In as long as we allow people, this group should go, that group, because they are always changed. The dynamics is that you go there and you're a military person, you change to become, if you're not careful, a Galamsey person. Or you go and you see some gold there, you will take it. So let's reduce, and this is by way of applying technology. Modern technology, and it's there, it's available, you can do that. We need to restructure our mining system from just being large scale and small scale and create a middle belt that can be properly regulated. We are able to regulate large scale mines. In fact, those large scale things we're talking about were not mines, they were concessionaires. Large scale prospecting license, large scale reconnaissance license. But the real mines, they are only about 16 in Ghana. And that is why we are able to regulate the big companies much better. Now, because we have dotted small scale mines, in Western region alone, a study that I'm privy to identified over 7,000 spots. So how can the Minerals Commission go there to follow the 7,000 spots? You have a useless drone that we have bought at a cost that is not doing anything. All it would have done was to go around and bring pictures and say, people are... When we know We know we didn't need any drone to know where people are mining.
But
on water bodies.
There's a suggestion to also use AI. I don't know how.
Yes. No.
But how AI?
AI is not just the thing that you are using to write. Artificial intelligence goes beyond the chat GTP and all. People think AI, all the electronics thing, all the digitalized things can
That's
be.
That's what the drone was to do.
Part of it,
the AI is
even the robotics. The robotics are also AI. You see, and what we have said, in fact, and we left that report to the current government by, the reclassifying mining, using technology. I'm talking about when I was at the commission. By the notes that we left, using electronics, digitalized system to try and take away or reduce human intervention. If you took the Asante alone to begin this fight effectively, and if we think he has been relatively successful in that, we probably have to give the whole head of state thing to him so he can, because it's like
hasn't got competition.
But he has, but he would do it.
His
But he's got competition.
Go and stand at a place and say that they should
no. There are people who but look, let's not joke with this. This challenge is very serious. Yes, it's very serious. Yeah. We have never had any attempt to bring various parties together to discuss it. In the past, every solution would have to come from.
What should the Minerals Commission of today be doing? What should the Minerals Commission
do? They can't do anything.
What should they be doing?
The Minerals Commission, the chief executive of the Minerals Commission said on television that tomorrow, if they see good,
so now, instead of coming to Accra for the main
the chief executive said that if today we find gold on the street of Accra,
they will come and
mine it. That's what he said.
You see,
okay,
but
what should the Minerals Commission do?
No, the Minerals Commission should lead the effort of reclassifying mining to ensure that we have been able to reduce the numbers and then include people with technical knowledge. You see, most of the miners who could have done the work in a way that it would reduce the impact on the environment don't have the appropriate technology. They don't have the people. So why wouldn't you make it compulsory that every licensed mine must have a geologist, must have a mining engineer, must have an environmentalist that are registered to be part, and they'll be held responsible because of their knowledge in showing how to mine properly. These are critical things. And then also make it easier, less complex for those who genuinely want to go and do the mine. And in fact, we started creating these district mining committees and all that. Now there should be full decentralization. It doesn't mean free licensing, but full decentralization. And full decentralization means that you have the EPA, the Minerals Commission, the water. They are in the same place, in the same district, and one-stop shop. So once you apply,
the NDC manifesto.
Yes, once you apply, we don't have it already. So let's stop the politics and all those belittling, trivializing the issue.
We are not writing it.
Don't trivialize. It is very important. Let's address this challenge.
So that's a discussion. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll look at another embarrassing situation: CAF banning the Baba Yara Sports Stadium. Terrible. Football nation, no stadium to play an international match. We'll be right back. All right, we're back. We're back. This is the big issue on 97.3 and also on ChannelOne television. Now, the Confederation of African Football has withdrawn its approval for the Baba Yara Sports Stadium in Kumasi due to technical infractions, including an unsuitable playing field. The decision was made after observations by CAF during the recent Africa Cup of Nations qualifying match between Ghana and Angola, which was played at the Baba Yara Stadium on September 5, 2024. Based on these observations, it was determined that the stadium did not meet the required standard for hosting Category 3 international matches. The CAF team identified several issues, including a playing field that was deemed unsuitable for competitive matches. The stadium's playing field had deteriorated significantly with uneven surfaces, poor drainage, and inadequate grass cover. The Baba Yara Stadium, which has a seating capacity of over 40,000, has hosted several high-profile matches in the past, including World Cup qualifiers and AFCON matches. So this is where we are. The stadium is being banned, more or less. Approval for it to be used for CAF matches has been withdrawn. And it's such an embarrassing situation that Ghana, that prides itself as a football nation, has no stadium right now fit for purpose. The recently built Legon Stadium, now the ministry says it is inviting CAF to come and inspect it to see if it will meet the requirements. But the question is, why should we get here? We know that quite an amount of money has been sunk into rehabilitating our stadia. Why hasn't it been done? Why do we continue using our stadia for parties and funerals and rallies and all of that, when the purpose for it is for football? And even after those events, no serious work is done on the pitch to ensure that the pitch stays correct and fit for purpose. Now, here we are. Where are we going to play our next game? Togo, Benin, Nigeria? Can we even go to Nigeria? The teasing and the trolling, can we take it? Even before the last World Cup, when we were to play Nigeria, when CAF wanted to ban the Yara Stadium, we saw how the Nigerians were trolling us that we didn't even have stadium to play in. It's so embarrassing that I don't even have the words to use for it. Let me start off with Tony Obin, who is a football person as well. He leads the domestic league in Ghana, and find out from him whose responsibility in the first place is it? Is it the NSA or the sports ministry working directly with the NSA, the GFA? What can they do? I mean, really. So, Tony Obin, welcome again to this. It's such an embarrassing situation. Didn't we see this coming?
Well, indeed, it's quite embarrassing. I mean, our history in football is so respected that to be slapped with this, the ban is quite unfortunate. It shouldn't have happened. And your question, let me answer your question directly. Who is responsible? I think everybody knows that all the sports stadia are in the hands of the NSA. They are. In fact, when I was on the ESCO, and remember until last year, I was on the ESCO for 4 years, and there were instances where we had conflicts. We actually had, for want of better word, banter with the director of the NSA. Sometimes when football was going to be played, when there was a serious match, and we had pleaded for the place to preserve for football, there will be some other activities, some musical activities and other things. And so I think we need to be serious with this. It's quite embarrassing. You remember that recently, Takwa Sports Stadium, I mean I think the most modern at the moment, except that the capacity is not up to scratch. Otherwise, I mean, it would have been easier to take our games to Takwa. There was a conflict between NSA and the District Assembly as to who should control, because there was a fear that if it was given to the National Sport Authority, it might be used for things other than football. And so we were even pushing for some independent company to manage it. So we haven't done that. And I think as a matter of urgency, we need to do something with our I mean, it is not befitting of our name and our record as a very strong football nation that we don't have a pitch befitting of CAF games. These are not FIFA games, CAF games. And when you go to Benin has a pitch that qualifies to
host games.
Yes. Benin. I don't know whether Togo also has one, and I think Togo could also.
Because Togo, they play their games in their country.
So it's quite embarrassing that Ivory Coast, they do have all the countries around us, including the ocean. They have stadia that can be used for these high-level international games. But Ghana, I think we need to quickly act. I'm hoping that the sports minister's invitation to CAF for inspection the Legon Stadium would be acceptable. I don't know why Cape Coast Stadium, not too long ago, were using that. There was no problem, but we allowed it to deteriorate within a short time. all the other stadia, I mean, Esipon, my own region, Esipon, you don't even speak about it because it's so embarrassing. Our maintenance culture, I don't know why we wait till this thing happens and now we come and play, verbal gymnastics about that. And I pray that the minister's effort at inviting CAF to Legon succeeds. And if that happens, we may be saved a bit of that embarrassment. Otherwise, it will be horrible. If Niger is going to Morocco to play, it will be embarrassing for us, Ghana. 4 times champions, African champions, and several times as finalists and all that, and having produced big players, in the world scene. We don't have a pitch to play on. It's quite embarrassing, and I think government must act quickly. Government must act quickly to address this embarrassment.
I see. This is a big issue. So that we're looking at the issue of the ban on the Kumasi Sports Stadium, or the Barbara Sports Stadium, ban from hosting CAF matches, and Ghana has some qualifiers to play. All right, let me speak to my colleague Yao Minta. Yao Minta is a sports journalist with us, City Sports, to help us track the happenings, what CAF was actually looking out for, what the responses from Ghana's authorities have been in the past, and what they hope to do now. Hello, Yao Minta. Good morning. Welcome to The Big Issue. Hello, Yao. Well, I don't have Yao. I think he's working the technical bits.
Hello.
All right, Yao. Yes. Good morning. Welcome to the program. It was such an embarrassing news. We heard that CAF is withdrawing its approval for the use of the Barbara Sports Stadium for CAF Category 3 matches. In the first place, what does Category 3 mean, and how did we get here?
Well, Salam, thank you for having me. Going straight to the point, Category 3 games means that games that can be held at a stadium that has at least 30,000 spectators. So the games are graded according to categories, and so for Category 1 games, you have as many as 5,000 spectators that can fill that stadium. For Category 2 games, you have as many as 10,000 spectators that can fill the stadium. And for Category 3, you can have at least 30,000 spectators. Category 4, you have at least 40,000. And so those are the standard categories provided by CAF according to their regulations.
I see.
So what we mean by Category 3 games is that it has to be played, it's a game that has to be played at a stadium that can host at least 30,000 spectators.
I see. So how did we get here? I know before the last World Cup, we were nearly banned. In fact, the signals were given. I think we went to do a few things about the media room and all of that. And so CAF allowed us to use the place. What has happened since? It does appear that nothing much is going on.
Yes, it is clear that nothing much has gone on over the past years because we've had several run-ins with CAF during this period. There was a time where at the Cape Coast Stadium, not too long ago, we played against South Africa. And South Africa complained about the pitch and reported Ghana to CAF. There was a point in time where Ghana got fined at least $10,000 because of the quality of the pitch, also at Accra Sports Stadium. And so this problem is not unique to the Yara Stadium. It's quite widespread, based on the stadium or the stadiums or the stadia that have hosted Ghana games, Black Stars games over the years, because the Aliu Muhammad Stadium isn't in a good shape to host practically any game of international sort. Then there's also the bit about the Esipon Stadium, which is also practically in shambles, basically. And so you have a situation where it's just the Yara, the Accra Sports Stadium, and the Cape Coast Sports Stadium that have been used in recent years. And over the years, because of issues that have popped up over the quality of the playing surface, over issues concerning washrooms, over issues concerning changing rooms, over issues concerning doping centers. Every stadium of international repute should have a doping room where after the games, athletes can be tested for doping. All of these issues have popped up, and that is why we were left with just the. That's why we're just left with the Baba Yara Stadium as our last hope. And at the end of the day, the Baba Yara pitch also has some issues. The stadium itself also has some issues, and that's why we've ended up in this situation where CAF has finally banned us because it had been coming. And we got enough warnings about it. Journalists talked about it, other stakeholders talked about it, but nothing concrete was done.
Very well.
And in the end, we ended up in this situation.
So now let's look at what the sports ministry has been saying. They say they have called on CAF to look at the Legon Stadium. Now, you talked about Category 3, meaning that it should be able to sit more than 30,000 people. The Legon Stadium
at least 30,000.
Obviously cannot sit 30,000. So that obviously is not Category 3. Will CAF consider that?
No, they won't consider it.
So then it shouldn't have been in the picture at all. It shouldn't have come up at all.
Yeah,
Why
it shouldn't have been in the picture at all.
Do you think the minister then asked them to come and look at it?
Which is why it is quite shocking that that communique was released or issued on 12 September from the Sports Ministry's Public Relations unit. Because if you tell the GFA to inform CAF to come over to Ghana to come and inspect the Accra Stadium pitch, the Accra Stadium and the Legon Stadium, without not knowing the regulations that accompany these inspection, then it's a bit shocking, and it's clear that they either don't know the regulations or they are just simply out of touch with what is going on the ground. Because as I stated earlier, a Category 3 game should be played at a stadium that hosts at least 30,000 spectators. The Legon Stadium hosts a little over 10,000, so it doesn't pass. And as I always say, forget about the technicalities, put it aside. Just on face value, look at the pitch, the state of the pitch at the Legon Stadium. A video was circulated on our Twitter pages or X pages, which was taken of the Legon Stadium. I believe it was on Wednesday or Thursday, earlier this week. And the state of the pitch was far from acceptable. And this is number one requirement by CAF, that the pitch must be flat, must not be undulating, and must be of good quality value. But you look at the pitch at the Legon Stadium, you look at the pitch at the Accra Sports Stadium, it is not good enough. It does not meet the cut. It does not meet that standard. It should have proper quality grass. The density of the grass should be on point. But you look at the grass over at the Legon Stadium, it just does not cut it. And so clearly, the Legon Stadium and the Accra Sports Stadium neither qualifies to host a Category 3 game.
I see.
Just yesterday, just a quick one. Just yesterday, we had Nswatreman FC. They represent Ghana in the CAF Confederation Cup. They played against CS Constantine. They lost 2-0 at the Accra Sports Stadium just yesterday. And when you watch that game, the quality of the pitch, it was far from good. And so there's absolutely no business calling on CAF to come and inspect the Accra Sports Stadium and the Legon Sports Stadium.
I see. So when next is our match, the qualifiers? When is our next match?
Yes, October 11 and October 15. Ghana takes on Sudan in back-to-back games and the 2025 AFCON qualifiers.
So Ghana is to host some of these matches, or these are away games?
Yes, Ghana will host one. Okay. And at this point in time, because we have been banned, it looks likely that Ghana will play away from home. And at this point in time, Cote d'Ivoire and Togo are being viewed as the best options. to host such a game.
I see. Thank you so much, Yaminta, for speaking to us.
You're welcome.
Yaminta is with the City Sports team. Let me speak to you. You will have the final word because you are government. So, I don't even know where to start from. This is so bad. We got hints of this before the World Cup qualifiers with Nigeria. We managed to get through with it. We are here. The pitch. How difficult is it to maintain a pitch? Of course, we see the Old Trafford, the Emirates. We see all of that. But how difficult and expensive is it to maintain a pitch that we are unable to do so, but our neighboring countries do it?
Salam, once again, let me say it's issue of leadership. I won't extend it maybe to the level of the presidency, but at least to the level of the ministry. You see, I've said something, and I've said it several times, that when you put square pegs in round holes, these are the sort of results you get. You see, sometimes people think that sports is the ministry that should be given as a candy to a weeping or wailing child. So anybody at all can be sent to sports. But truth be told, it's the most difficult, most important, and most technical ministry. Do you know the reason why?
No.
In this country, if we are not in a political season, the most important thing for people to talk about is sports.
Sports.
You understand? In this country, the only thing that unifies the country, even in election year, is sports. And so that is why Kwame Nkrumah decided that one of the basic tools I'm going to use to forge African unity was sports. So, even in the construction of the subcontinental body, he used sports. So he started the Ghana, Guinea, Mali Friendship Games.
Yeah.
Then extended it to Nigeria, then so that we can have then all Africa Games and all those things. So it's an area that political leaders must always look at with some sense of responsibility and know the people that they can trust and have confidence in to repose that ministry to them. I'm happy you said that we knew this was coming. The question is, what did we do about it? One, I've said it here. This government has missed opportunity because they have been blessed with revenue. I've had experience of being in the ministry. At that time, the ministry did not have the sort of revenue and resources, funding that is available to the current ministry.
Funding from where? Central government?
Central government. Because you see, at our time, because of the happenings within JIDA and the rest, the 5% that is supposed to go to the Youth and Sports Ministry was actually ceded to the Ministry of Employment and Labor Relations, because youth employment was taken to that area. But this time it's been sent back. So this ministry now has money, and instead of focusing the money in improving upon what we have and making them better, they are using it to rather throw away building what we call recreational centers, calling them centers of excellence, astroturf and things, some of them poorly done across the country for political purposes.
Why political purpose? They are serving a certain,
I'm telling you,
a certain purpose. I mean, recreational centers. We need recreational centers.
Oh, recreational centers. Recreational centers are not astroturfs.
But you need astroturf.
You can build recreational centers without necessarily be astroturf.
So your issue is with the astroturf.
Yes.
It should be natural
the money
grass.
that is being spent on this construction of astroturf in areas do not really inure to the development of sports. And the sort of astroturf they are building do not support development of sports. So it fits rather into the area of recreation more and ceremonial activities more than sports development. Alfred, me and you sitting here, what will you advise? If we could have money that possibly could develop Sildo Park, will you prefer using it to go and build AstroTurf somewhere or develop Sildo Park?
depends on the purpose of the astroturf.
Purpose. That's what I'm saying, that the purpose for the astroturfs which are being built now is not really for sports development.
I'll come to that.
But for politics.
No.
People think that they can win votes by providing these astroturfs. So sometimes they don't even look at the construction. I have seen one in my constituency, for example, Bukum. And I laugh. You and I, you partly come from there. That park did not last 4 years. It's gone.
AstroTurf.
Yes, it's gone. It's gone.
How?
Go there and see. Now people dry things there. People dry things, clothes there.
On the AstroTurf?
Yes.
But is it not protected? Don't you have protection around it?
The boys cannot play football there anymore.
Why?
Because it was poorly done.
So they should call the contractor back.
Thank you. I'm happy you're saying that.
They
But
should
I
call the
would have
contractor back.
preferred that
Like
even
normal-
that money,
natural grass.
that money could have been used to fix Kaneshi Sports Complex, Azuma Nelson Sports Complex. You understand? That money that was used to build the AstroTurf there and other places could be used to do Kaneshi Sports Complex. Because do you know why? At the end of it, all these basic schools who today travel from Kaneshi, Odoko, and place to Elwak to do schools and colleges will have done it at Kaneshi Sports Complex. You get what I'm saying? So priority is of primary concern here because we are talking about scarce resources. When we knew that we have problems, I've seen more than 25 AstroTurfs being built around Kumasi. That money could have been used to put Baba Yara Sports Stadium to purpose, to standard, where we will not suffer this fate. You get me?
How about leasing or renting the space out to
you see,
churches
so that we come to that. So that's why I'm saying that if you build a facility for a purpose, it's for that purpose. In Europe and places, people rent Trafford Center, people rent Old Trafford for sometimes rugby matches. But as soon as it's finished, Trafford is refitted for the purpose of football. So if you don't have that money, that after using it for a concert, you'll be able to put the field back to position where football could be played there without any problem, then you are not managing the property and the infrastructure well. You get me? Yeah. Because if it's meant, it was built, Accra Sports Stadium, today it's only meant for football because we've taken the tracks off. So if it is for football, then we should be able to make sure that at any point in time, when we lease it, hide it, rent it out for any other activity, the money and the revenue that will be earned is enough to take care of the cost of the repair, to put it back to the use for football. Other than that, it's misapplication, mismanagement. Two, I'm saying that in the midst of scarcity, you must judiciously apply resources to be able to get maximum output. So if we knew that we have these matches coming up and we have a good maintenance culture, we would have known that this field doesn't take this. We could have gone around to make sure, tick all the boxes that will make the field ready for, because ask him, he's the chairman of the domestic league. Before they approve that the center should be used for a match, they send inspectors to check all these things. Am I lying?
That's correct.
You understand? So if you have a maintenance regime, the estate officer dutifully, at least every day or every other day, will go around and check and make sure there's no leakage here, there's no crack here, the seats are not dirty, the urinals are okay, the media box is okay, the doping center is there. He will make sure all these things are there. Where there are defects, he will draw attention of the chief executive to it. Then,
so where's the missing link?
The
so
missing
if
link,
the domestic guys have been doing that, all the guys have been doing that, why did we leave it to deteriorate? Is it because they made the observations, they submitted a report, made recommendations, but there was no money to fix the problem.
Then there's a problem with leadership.
Yeah, so
because if I'm the chief executive, I'll always demand reports. If I'm managing this facility, and you are the estate officer, I will always demand weekly report from you on the situation, the integrity of the facility. If I don't get it, I fire you. It means that you are not doing your work. But if that is not done, so as we see today, if I were President Akufo-Addo, I will fire my Minister for Sports. If the Minister for Sports has not already recommended that the Chief Executive of the National Sports Authority should be fired, then he, the Minister, must go. If the Chief Executive of the National Sports Authority had not already fired the estate officer of the various stadia, then he is not doing his job. And if there is no money, those recommendations have been made and there is no money, then the Minister of Youth and Sports have been inept. Because in your annual budget, you should be able to capture all these things and make provision for them. You understand me? So, there is actually no excuse for anyone to sit down and let this country be embarrassed the way we have been embarrassed. It's totally unacceptable, unexplainable, and totally irresponsible. Look, Baba Yara, you are talking about Baba Yara. I'll show you something here. The government says they spent close to about 26 million Ghana cedis on the rehabilitation and the maintenance of Esipong and Accra Sports Stadium by companies that are owned by a relative of the president.
But, okay, so fine. But was the job done?
If the job was done, would Accra Sports Stadium be banned?
But was payment made?
Yes. Will Esipong not be available for us to use? If those jobs were done.
But when did you know this? And you are in Parliament, Honorable. You should be able to demand answers.
Yes. So when we resume, we'll demand answers. When we resume, because we've been hit by this crisis today. So it's important that all of us, bipartisan, the Sports Committee of Parliament, the Government Assurances Committee of Parliament should be able to demand answers. And my colleague Samuel Okudzeto, we've talked about it immediately, is going to put an urgent question to the Speaker. Then we'll drag the Minister for Youth and Sports, Minister of Finance, before Parliament to make sure they account for this money, because it's unacceptable.
I see.
We cannot look, for example, the National Hockey pitch was supposed to have been rehabilitated for the Africa Club Championship last 2 years. All Africa Games, we have to spend another money to rehabilitate the National Hockey pitch again for the All Africa Games. And even that one, the South Africans opposed and packed their bag off, because they said the field was not meant, it's not fit for purpose. It's not fit for purpose. You understand? So all these things have happened. And I'm saying that unless somebody sitting somewhere, do not say sports. Oh, sports. What is sports? When we are talking about any other sector that will really look at the economy and the people, we are talking about sports. But sports is one key sector that can galvanize all other sectors of the economy to develop the country.
Alfred, this is not good. I mean, so he thinks it's a problem with leadership. And I mean, indeed, there's the sports minister or the sports ministry. There's the National Sports Authority. It's their job to ensure that our stadia are fit for purpose. What were they doing? They obviously were not working. Now we've been faced with an embarrassing situation. Which country are we going to go to do this? Beyond that, this is a national embarrassment. What are we doing about it? How did we get it?
Salam, it's quite unfortunate that it had to come to this stage for this to happen. And I must say with no uncertain terms that it's not a good sign for us. But we all know that when it comes to maintenance and innovation of our properties and our systems in this country, it's a big problem. Because the moment you go and vote some money towards renovation, it raises eyebrows. Hey, what are you going to do? Why so much money? That money could have done something else, and blah, blah, blah. And most people also like to put up new edifice than rather renovating and putting the old one into shape. because they feel that when I go and do it, I can put my name to it, and that is what is worrying us as a country. However, we've pumped a lot of money into sports. We have pumped a lot of money, and every time, one of the places that you always have concerns is the sports ministry, because it's like everybody has an eye there, whether you are going to play football somewhere or you are playing locally. He talked about the AstroTurfs. Yes, when we were taking over from them, they had 3 AstroTurfs. We've made over, or we've produced, or we've made them build over 150 AstroTurfs. AstroTurfs are not the full-time stadium that you would get, but it helps at least your younger ones train and also build up their capacity. Because before AstroTurfs were there, you could see people on a field that was like a swampy place, and they'll be playing their ball. And these were the people that we produced to become international footballers. So if we have the chance to build AstroTurfs and places that they can use, why not? But I'm sad that Honorable Nilante Vanderboy sat there. His AstroTurf has gone down, and he's not been able to raise an eyebrow about it. And he's sitting here lamenting. Because I expect him to have called the contractor to order and asked him why that AstroTurf has not been brought back to its original state. It's money that has been spent. And that is why we all have to be watchers of where we are. That is why we take MPs. That is why we take leaders within every segment. Because if you're a leader there and your thing is going down and you can't talk about it and you only lament on TV, then myself and you, we are about the same people. But you have a bigger task. You are a bigger person within that place. You are an MP, an honorable member of parliament. You are in charge of that vicinity, whether your government is in power or not. And you have to make sure that all these have been put in order. You've come to build an AstroTurf within. You have an can I finish, please? You're in charge of your area.
No,
you are in charge of your area.
It's the assembly which is in charge.
You are in charge of your area. That is why you are part of the assembly.
You are not in charge.
You are part of the
assembly.
But you are not official member of assembly.
Yes.
As official.
That's why I'm saying that you are in charge.
So you can raise issues.
Because any money that is coming to assembly, it goes to your parliament to approve it before it comes to the assembly. They don't get up and get money straight away.
I'm not shifting the goalpost.
No, I'm telling him that it's his responsibility to make sure that when things are going bad, he points it out to them.
How about the person himself who got a job?
But you are part of it.
No, the person who came to us that he wants the job.
You know why they take assembly members for each area? So that they will report certain things. Because when you are sitting in the office, when you are sitting in your office, you might not see everything going around.
Yeah, but this one we know about it. Prior to the
I don't know till he said it today.
Prior to the World Cup, I knew prior to the World Cup, CAF nearly didn't want us to play the Nigerian match then. But we did a few things and they agreed. And I thought whilst they agreed, I thought in the law things were happening.
I told you,
we paid bribe.
I don't know. I don't know.
You can't say that. I mean,
I don't know.
Did you pay bribe?
To CAF? I don't know.
No, I don't know.
I don't know that.
But you see, the truth is that I have said it and I stated it earlier when I started, that cost of renovation is quite high. And anyone going into renovation, people open or have their eyebrows open to make sure that, hey, someone is not going to get something out of this, or someone is not going to make some unnecessary money. Because the amount of renovation, sometimes it's like building a new place. It's like bringing the whole thing down and
because we don't do it in time. So we do it when the things are bad.
And that is the culture we have.
The culture must change.
We are changing it gradually. Don't you see, if you look around, most of the ministries, most of the government establishment
look
and
things,
you realize
it's been overgrown with weeds.
You realize that gradually we are changing some of these things. Gradually we are changing.
8 years.
When you look at the present day, I mean, it was only under President Kufuor's time that we saw a serious renovation of all our stadiums.
Because we're going to play the tournament.
Yes, we needed to do it, so we renovated it. After that, nothing happened until Akufo-Addo's time again.
What has happened in Akufo-Addo's time?
I mean, there have been renovations here and there.
In the stadium?
What do you call it? Legon Stadium that you are talking about.
That's a newly built stadium.
It has been there for how many years?
But they're not building it.
But we had to finalize it and bring it to
the NBC can also build the Cape Coast Stadium.
Oh,
so,
yes.
So it's not about
I mean, that's
building.
one. That's
It's
one.
about
I'm saying that
renovation.
I'm not going to dispute
Yeah,
that.
it's about
Under
renovation.
President Tata Mills, we didn't build that stadium. We did.
It's under.
It started under President Kufuor. They got the field and everything. But they did it. Massa. You added 5,000. Go and check records. You added 5,000 seats. What are you talking about?
That's not. What
are you talking about?
We are on Babayara. We are on Babayara.
Who told you that?
We are on Babayara.
Who got the land? Who got the land? Who got the land?
Oh, so you got the land?
No, you see the thing you're saying, that everybody wants to claim something.
That is why I stated.
So we are talking about Babayara. That's why we are here.
When we were starting,
that's the
I'm
problem.
coming back to that Cape Stadium, and he has to get his facts right.
Because you are from there. Because you are from there. Because you are from there.
Yes, and I know what went on.
No problem. But he was the sports minister.
I know what went on.
It's not true. He was the sports minister. Anyway,
I know what went on.
Let's come back to the topic.
Sit here and do politics.
Let's come back to the topic.
The effort President Kufuor
Let's come back to topic.
Central Region gets a stadium. Cape Coast gets a stadium.
Where?
Let's come back to stadium.
Let's come back to capacity of 5,000.
Let's come back.
President Kufuor had intention of building a stadium in Cape Coast.
Only the intention.
But he has no hand in the construction of Cape Coast Stadium.
I didn't say he started.
No, but he
didn't started the work.
He didn't secure
But
the
he
land.
secured the land for the investor.
He didn't secure the land.
I was part of the team that negotiated and paid the land.
Please, they were going first. They were going to look at the the Zulu Stadium, whether they could rebuild it, and they realized that they couldn't.
It was President Kufuor who was looking to rebuild Sidu. He did it.
We are digressing.
I won't allow you.
Then he asked for a place for the stadium. That is when he
the matter before us is
Babayara. Cape Coast.
The matter before us is Babayara.
Why did you increase the capacity? Why did you increase the capacity?
This is a reason.
Did you increase the capacity?
Let me take a short break. I take a short break and I come back to continue. You're welcome back. This is the big issue. The final, a few minutes to go. Alfred was on the floor making a point before he invited heckles or heckling from his colleagues. All right, so Alfred, just make the point.
Heckled me. Don't say I invited me. So coming back to the point, I'm stating categorically that we don't like renovation. We don't like putting our edifice back to its state. Like a yearly, we don't put money aside for that. It's only after a long hassle then you come and look for money. And that must change. That must change. We see now that we've done a lot of things. When you go to even the Kwame Nkrumah Mausoleum and everything, look at the amount of money that was invested there to put it into the state. When you go to other edifices, yes, Asomdwe Park, they neglected it. We've put it in a beautiful state that today you can talk about it. Right. But you go to other edifices, even go to Peduase, the stage that you came to meet it, and now you can see the difference. It tells you that under the presidency of Nana Akufo-Addo, you've made a conscious effort to put things in place.
Very well.
However, there have been challenges.
What do we do now?
There have been challenges.
Is someone going to pay for it? Is someone going to face the music? It's an embarrassing situation for the country. What we can quickly do is to see, because it's about the grass, it's about the drainage, and they have shown us what the problem is. What we should quickly do is to see how best we can get funding and make sure that we put that place in a state that we can use for the match to be played here, because I think we can do that before the match is played here. FIFA or CAF will come and inspect it before.
If not this particular one, at least.
So then this one, where will we play it? Which country are we contemplating?
I don't know. I'm not FIFA.
All right.
So at the
very
end of
final
the
word
day,
in 10 seconds.
I'm not done. Let me end.
Okay, end.
So at the end of the day, we all let me end quickly. At the end of the day, we all have to come together. Sports, as he said, is a unifier.
Very good.
Let us all come together and make sure that most of our stadiums, most of our places of play, we put it in a good state.
Very good. Final.
Not the state.
Yes, 2 seconds. I think there's a serious embarrassment, and we should actually quickly find a way of addressing that. It's an embarrassment to the nation. I mean, and we should find a way to address that. I mean, it can be collective. It shouldn't be when there's a problem that we call for collective approach to it. It must be the way to do things for the country, because of the level of the status of sports in our country. I think we need to pay more attention than we have done in the past.
Very well. 10 seconds.
I would just ask that, like people have said, the one who has caused the problem has no capacity to change it. So I will ask for the change of government, and Ghanaians know what we can do with sports. I'm assuring Ghanaians that this embarrassment will be a thing of the past once they vote for John Dramani Mahama to become president in 2025. Ghana sports will be reset. and Ghana sports will go forward, and Ghana will be once
Very
again be the beacon of sports in Africa and the world.
Right.
We shall win more titles and we shall win more champions.
Thank you so much, guys, for being here today. Dr. Anthony Obin, Dilate Vanderpoel, and Alfred Thompson. Thanks so much for being here. My name is Selam Adunu. Have a good afternoon.